Bienvenidos nerdos a otro episodio de Between Nerds, nuestro podcast de mi compañero Drew Elias y aquí su co-host Aldo Mendez.
Hi guys, Drew Elias here. Aldo, your Spanish is a lot better than mine. Who'd thunk it?
Who'd have thunk it?
Who'd have thunk it? Hi,
Your
guys.
English is better than mine.
Oh well, I only speak one language, so.
Okay.
Hi guys, welcome back to episode. Holy shit, what episode?
74?
74 of Between Nerds podcast. As said, my name is Drew Elias. We are recording in my home, a house that was previously rented by Aldo Mendez, and where we started our podcasting journey, like what, a year and a half ago already?
Yes, sir. Yeah, a year and a half because we'll be 2 years in July, I believe.
God, we're savages. I don't know why we keep watching so much anime. Maybe I'll hang out with my girlfriend someday.
Yeah, mine too. And my son.
And your son. But today, we are talking about wolf children. But before we get into that, I do want to go over some housekeeping notes. To be entered into our December giveaway, please use hashtag OurNerdsMatter on Twitter or Instagram in an original post, and you will be entered into our December giveaway. Our last giveaway winner for the month of November, I got him this cool Bleach figurine of Mr. Ichigo himself. And I'll be sending him that out this week, I promise.
Yes, to, what's his name again?
Was it Kurapika Goat?
Kurapika_Goat. Yes, yeah. Congratulations. We'll be sending that to you, like Drew said.
And for every like and retweet on original tweets and Instagram posts that use hashtag OurNerdsMatter, we will be donating to NAMI El Paso. That is the National Alliance of Mental Illness El Paso chapter. And yeah, they shouted this out on Twitter like 2 weeks ago. They call us Anime Daddies.
Hell yeah, bro. And yeah, Anime Daddies is a great.
I always forget that I put that as our name one time. I think I was just bored at work and just put like Anime Daddies. And like I'm saying, please follow us on Twitter at Between Nerds.
Instagram, Twitter, and also you can email us at betweennerdspodcast@gmail.com.
Yes, sir. And I think we're about ready to get into the meat and potatoes of this episode.
Are we ready though?
Okay, so some context for our listeners.
Last week we saw the Boy and the Beast, right?
Right. So because we're the great podcasting production years that we have been following the works of Mr. Momoda Hosada, who is the founder of Studio Chizu, and we've been going through his work. So that started maybe a month and a half ago when we watched Summer Wars, which we didn't even realize it was like he had a bigger
universe to himself.
Yeah,
he follows the trails, of Big Miyazaki and Shinge and stuff like that.
Yeah, Makoto Shinkai, all those. Like he has a very stylized work, and he's producing exclusively films.
Yes, yeah.
And like you were saying, we did watch The Boy and the Beast last week. It's good. It's not like groundbreaking.
But Summer Wars is really good.
Right, and the thing about Mr. Hosoda here, he's been nominated for an Academy Award before for like a previous film he did. So like this isn't nobody when it comes to anime filmmaking.
Established Sishu's Studios to follow up his filming, his film career.
Yeah.
And writing stuff. But I mean, having Summer Wars aside of this conversation, The Boy and the Beast and Wolf Children have this reoccurring theme of
there's too many themes.
There's too many themes. Yeah, of being too many themes. Yeah, absolutely.
I think he's very, like I was saying, he's very stylized and like he knows what he's doing animation wise. Like there's like, if you're really paying attention to how things are animated, especially in like Wolf Children, it's like, holy shit, like they really did that. Like we'll bring it up as it comes up.
And you can tell they spend extra time just trying to show you like, check out this animation.
Right. It reminds me a lot of like forced perspective shots of 2D models like we saw in Weathering with You, which is a Makoto Shinkai film. And the issue with Wolf Children and The Boy and the Beast is that, like we're saying, it's too many themes. Like, he has too many ideas that he wants to throw into one work at a time.
It did focus in one theme, which was, I don't think I'm spoiling anything, but it's about, like, raising children.
Right.
And that was really cool aspect of the movie.
That was the best part of the movie.
Yeah.
Right. But then it has, like, this sub-theme, which is, like, I'm sorry if we have any members of this community in our audience. I don't know if we fucking do. But it's very furry.
Friendly. Forward.
Yes. It's progressively furry.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And what do I mean by that? So we love Beastars.
Mm-hmm.
Beastars is not furry because the thing about being a furry and having a fursona is my understanding, at least, if I'm being ignorant, please email us at betweenerspodcast@gmail.com.
Ooh, we're gonna be hot.
We're gonna be hot.
On
my understanding is that having a fursona is realizing that there's a real you, right? That's why you dress up and that's why you're about that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which there's nothing wrong with that. Like, just as long as it's between consenting adults, I don't give a shit what anybody does. You know what I mean? I literally could not care less. But Beastars is not that. Beastars is amorphized animals living in like a fake utopia world, right?
A Gretsuko is the same thing, essentially.
Same thing, right? Wolf Children is about having a secret second life as your fursona, as a wolf.
Correct. And I don't know if this was just... Because, okay, I read a small quip on trivia about this movie that apparently his inspiration was of like a conversation he had with someone about raising kids. For this movie.
Do we know if he has kids? Is that why he's being all weird about it?
Who knows, dude? I don't know.
Who knows? But then, and then?
So what I'm saying is that theme, I don't know if like the whole furry aspect of the movie, and it's furry, and I'm sorry like if we do offend people, but like it's absolutely that, you know?
Yeah. There's nothing,
There's nothing wrong with that. It's just saying that it's a meme about the fairy stuff, but like we're trying to be serious and like pointing out that this has fairy aspects to the movie.
And Wolf Children is like, people like Wolf Children. People like this movie. Like when we were going through his videography is when we picked this. It's because we were going through his Wikipedia page like a week and a half ago when we were going to talk about The Boy and the Beast, and we'd recognized the name Wolf Children. Like, we'd seen it on Twitter or Instagram, just something.
Somewhere.
Like, nerd culture liked Wolf Children, right?
Yeah.
And you pointed that right away, and we were like, well, let's just watch Wolf Children then. Because you're moving this week. I was on vacation, like, all last weekend and, like, half of this week. So we needed something that, like, was easily digestible, which that's when we usually aggregate to films.
Yeah, and we just finished watching it, too.
Yeah. So you're getting the hottest of takes right now. The freshest of takes.
It's fresh out the box, brother.
And
it's got peanut packaging.
I think it's crazy that this is the kind of movie that like responds well with like nerd culture, because we know how mean people are on like Twitter or on Reddit and stuff like that, and especially when it comes to like communities that like get bullied a lot on the internet, which is why I think it's wild that I didn't even know what Wolf Children was about. Like, I didn't see anybody memeing about it, anybody shitting on it. It was just always people being like, you need to watch Wolf Children. It's gorgeous. It's beautiful. Which it is. It's all of those things.
Let me tell you, nerds, the first 20 minutes of this fucking movie
a roller coaster.
Are the craziest. I thought the movie was about to finish.
Yeah.
And it's the furry aspect doesn't stick too long.
Right.
And especially like intimate moments, as you know. But yes, so we follow Hana,
right,
a college student who is studying and doing her Hana best.
You know what I don't like? I don't like that the voiceover like exposition thing is the daughter before we've even met them, right?
So it gives you, so this is what I mean about having too many themes. And one of those themes is having a narrator of the story to misdirect, like in this case is it's giving you the hopes that you're gonna see her grown up. It's giving you the hopes of seeing
it being about the mother in a third person perspective made me think the mom was gonna die.
Yes.
The whole time.
Or the brother, because you don't hear the brother Yuki talking either. But when the story starts and is being narrated by the daughter of Hana, the mother that we're following.
Right, we're following Yuki. Yuki's the unnamed narrator right here.
Correct, yes. So we start out with Hana being in college and, doing her Hana best. And she notices this brooding boy.
Why is that every male protagonist in anime, bro? It's always some scrawny, scruffy guy that totally doesn't shower with long, unkept hair.
It's the whole, like, thing that we talk about. Like, the nerd, I'm the quiet guy.
Yeah, it's what nerds think girls would want. Like, exactly. I'm the quiet loner, and girls would love me for this, because this is, like, the male protag character in every anime. So...
that's exactly what it is.
And I think it's hilarious because it's it's the exact same plot that we were picking at in Act 3 of The Boy and the Beast, where it's like, in The Boy and the Beast, he spent his whole life being raised in this animal universe, and then he comes back and he's like illiterate, and then he meets a girl like in school who takes pity on him and kind of teaches him. And that's what happens here. It's like this guy who has this secret second life that we don't know about. Ooh, he's got a secret persona.
And as a first-time watchers, you included, like, we don't know what the secret is. We don't know what is going on.
We did. Like,
we did, but we thought it was going to go a different direction.
Right. So it's like, no, I can't join school because I can't be around people, and you live
and
by
we're
myself.
like, he's the wolf.
Yeah. I'm just like, okay, so he turns into a wolf, right? And he doesn't want to hurt people.
And at first, I got this whole fucking, like, Princess Mononoke syndrome at the beginning. I'm like, oh shit, is this not gonna be about the fucking title at all?
Yeah.
You know, because you forget that the movie is called Wolf's Children, and then when they introduce you to the mother in the story, you're like, you almost forget that she's gonna have children. You know? And so you're like, oh shit, he met the wolf and they're gonna have a baby. Because instantly, minute 10 of the fucking movie, she falls in love with him and she's trying to show him the library. He shows him different stuff and he's teaching him and cooking for him and shit like that. And then he's like, I have a secret.
Right, and that's like at the 10-minute mark. He's like, I got a secret, I gotta tell you. All the things they say about werewolves is false, but I'm actually a wolf. And like, here's the thing, is the character model of the human wolves in their wolf form it looks exactly like a furry suit.
Yeah.
Exactly. Like how you always see them have like the quipped
a persona, hair. Someone might say.
Yeah, they like how the costumes in these big exaggerated like furry costumes have like the quipped hair and like it's the really bug-eyed, like, anime look. It looks,
and then like the color scheme of like your top fur compared to your face fur.
Right. Yeah. It looks exactly like a Persona costume, and it reminds me of BNA, which was it might have been a Studio Trigger anime that was like a Netflix original. I think it might have been Trigger or something like that. And it's the exact same character model. Like, they keep drawing these amorphized wolves exactly the same. It's so, like, off-putting as soon as it happened. Like, at the 10-minute mark. It felt like, it was so cringe for me. Like, it took me so hard out of it.
Dude, I don't know, dude. I don't know what to tell you, but yeah, the character design for this wolf, I was sitting there thinking he was gonna go full wolf, and we mentioned this when we were watching it. You're like, yeah, I thought he was gonna go full wolf, but he doesn't. He's like Lego sheep, but like in a fairy costume.
Exactly. And so then, so like, because we were watching it together, I'm like joking on the couch. You're in my living room.
Meta commentary.
What?
We're doing meta commentary.
Yeah, we're doing meta. Yeah, we're it's like what's that show where it was just like two robots just shitting on shitty movies? Space Theater 3000.
Yeah.
Intergalactic Space Theater 3000 or whatever it's called. So we're just making fun of it, right? And like, so me being the troll that I am, it's totally about them falling in love, and we know they're gonna have children, right? This is the title of the movie. So it's just, as soon as she sees him, I'm like, jump his bones. Like, I'm just being annoying and saying that in the background. And then we get that whole 10-minute sequence of them falling in love and hanging out every day.
And him, like, giving out his secret.
And, like, they never hooked up until, like, the minute he turns fucking wolf. And then there's a sex scene of him still as a wolf.
And not full, like sex scene, but, like, it is...
Like, she's shirtless.
Yeah.
He's a wolf.
Yeah.
And that's when they hook up. Like, it took him turning into a wolf for her to, like, be like, yeah, we're doing this. We're having kids. This is, and like,
there's this weird, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but before I forget, there's, like, this weird POV shot that you get of like the wolf on the bed.
Yeah, and he's like going. He's
but it's for like a split second.
He's like mounting her.
Yeah.
So, but my thing is like, okay, I get it. He has a secret wolf transformation thing. I saw Twilight, but I think they would have waited until after the transformation, or he would have transformed back to like hook up. But no, like they hooked up while he was in wolf form. And I'm just like, they're screaming on the couch, like, what the fuck?
And this is 10 minutes into the fucking movie, guys. And we are watching very carefully now. We're like, should we change the subject? Should we go into something else?
No, I was committed.
Well, yeah, because he was taking a while, but you know, whatever. Anyways.
So she gets pregnant, right? And it's just like.
But like, it's not, it's just like, this kind of movie has like this theme of just going into different little montages of like passage of time.
Right.
So she figures out that she's pregnant and she's scared because she's throwing up in the morning, and then she's like, oh, what is he gonna think? But nothing in context, nothing in dialogue. It's just like you can see it from the scenery, we
have some Makoto Shinkai pianos in the background, and it's just like we're just watching her freak out.
And then like that montage right after this weird fucking intimate scene, like that montage is like, oh shit, she's pregnant, oh fuck, and then like she's worried, but she tells him, and like he's super happy, and like this montage keeps developing into like him taking care of her while she's pregnant, like they both taking care of each other as they're pregnant.
I thought he wasn't even going to be involved with the pregnancy at first, like
so he makes you like that intimate scene when you're like watching, you're like, whoa, where the fuck is this going? Like it just completely takes you off into the narrative that I liked about the movie.
Yeah, and like that's a good like directing point, is that like it shows the passage of time really, really well. Like it does this like 4 or 5 times where it'll show you years or months or weeks all in a 30-second sequence. We were watching the first half with Karen, and she wasn't paying a whole lot of attention as much as we were. And she asked, like, didn't she just meet him? Because they do another one of those montages when it's like them dating and getting to know each other.
That's cool. Yeah.
Right. So it's like, it's done, that's done really well. Like the storyboarding there feels great. Because if you're trying to shove so much information into what's already a 2-hour film, like.
Because we see these babies being consummated, born, grown up to all the way to high school. So the passage of time is crazy here.
Yeah, absolutely. And so like immediately after they give birth to the girl, the daughter, which they do in their apartment, because the mom here is afraid that Hana's afraid that she might be born in wolf form. So then that'll be like really off-putting. It's this whole different thing. So how traumatizing for this girl who's like she's in college. She's a young adult. She's like, she might be 18, 19, 20 for all we know at this point. And she's just like giving birth in her apartment, and then he immediately knocks her up again. And it almost feels like abusive. Like I know it's supposed to be beautiful and they're in love and they're starting a family, but it almost feels like he moves furniture for a living. He's not banking it, and he's starting this family with this girl who's in college and seems like she has a lot going for her. And she's smart, she's capable, she's always in the library, and it feels like she throws it all away because she met handsome brooding wolfman. I don't know.
It kind of looks like that at the beginning, yeah, but I mean, you know, whatever happiness means for you, you know what I'm saying?
No, yeah, exactly. Like, if she didn't want to be in college and she was doing it for her parents and she wanted start a family, that's good for her. And
but I was gonna say the whole montage, because again we get another montage of like the kids kind of growing up with the dad.
Yeah.
Because and I'm sorry, now I remember. I like when the movie knows it's fantastical, but they add real reaction to her, like when you were saying she doesn't know, like she didn't even go to the doctor one time that one of the girls ate like a silica pack.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Because she's like, fuck. And they give you like this scene of her like seeing, coincidentally, there's like a vet like a vet clinic, and there's like a emergency clinic like side by side, and she doesn't know where to go because she has a wolf child.
Yeah.
And it's crazy because you would do that. I don't know. It's like it's a real fear when I was watching the story.
Right. I think that makes a lot of sense because just trying to finish the first 20 minutes here. Like, she immediately gets pregnant, has a second kid. It's a boy, but he's kind of sickly, and he's smaller than his sister. And his sister's always eating, and she's very lively. And there's a scene that opens up where it's raining. Hana's in the apartment with the kids, and he goes out to get groceries, right? The dad here goes out to get groceries, and he probably knew that something was going to happen to him because she goes out of the apartment because he'd been missing for a while, sees that he already left the groceries like at the front door with his wallet. And then she goes out into the rain looking for him in like a channel, like in Tokyo. With her kids. She's got both the kids like attached to her chest and her back. And in like you see it in anime a lot. There's like a channel where like river and like stormwater flows through.
Yeah. It's an island country.
Right. So she goes to a bridge where she probably assumed he was, and she sees down in like the channel bed a dead wolf. It's him. It's him in his wolf form. And we've seen that he catches like wild pheasants for them and brings them home. And we get a exposition from older Yuki talking about like, oh, he probably felt the call of the wild and he felt like he needed to provide for his mate and his young cubs or whatever. But he died. He died just like trying to hunt a bird and fell into the channel. So she has to watch some garbage men like pull up in a garbage truck and actually just like haul this giant wolf corpse and just throw it away. And she's like trying to fight them and she's crying the whole time. And it's terrible because it's like they're just really going to go throw away her baby daddy.
Yeah, it's fucking intense because in this like times montages or passing of time montages, like you really get attached to like the relationship that they have with the girls and stuff like that. And when did you mention that she was saying like he got a call from nature?
Yeah.
Okay, my bad.
So now she really has to raise these kids by herself, but they also transform into wolf children. And the one thing that does not make sense to me at all is how this woman like lives with no money. Like, she doesn't have a job. She raises the kids in that little apartment in Tokyo until they're like 4 or 5 years old. And then she mentions that he left some money, like a little bit of money, but it makes it only seem like it's like a few $1,000s. Maybe. So like she wouldn't have been able to survive that long without working and just raising kids.
Yeah, because I think there was also some dialogue about like her family, like not disowning her, but they didn't want to be with like somebody that was pregnant out of like wedlock and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I mean, finishing off this fucking 20 minutes, we're already past 20 minutes, right?
Yeah, he dies like at the 20-minute mark. And that was our comment, like, holy fuck, that's the wildest 20 minutes ever. She
gets a random visit because I know you're saying they live comfortably, but I believe it's just like barely.
Yeah. Like, it's like ramen, like cup ramen every day. And rice. Yeah.
Let's go. And then like, there's like, like they trying to have character development. So the kids, like one of them, like you said, and now that I'm thinking about it, like how the boy was like weak and smaller and he wouldn't really eat. Yeah. It happens to regular like dog litters. You'll have the weak ones that maybe pass away and shit like that. Now that I'm thinking about it, it's like kind of weird.
Yeah.
And yeah, so so one of them, the girl, Yuki, she's very hyperactive. She's super like strong emotion, and she would turn. And the churning, fuck, dude, I wish it would be something more macabre as far as the...
Excuse me?
Like, more evil looking as far as, like, the... More realistic looking as far as the transformations go.
Yeah, because it treats it when, like, other people see them in wolf form, they're like, oh my god, it's just a wolf, it's a wolf, it's a wolf. But when it's animated on screen for us, the audience, it's like, no, that's a person.
It's like Bambi.
Yeah,
that's even worse than Bambi.
That's a person with like ears and like a fuzzy face.
Like My Little Pony-ish almost.
Yeah. Like it's still totally like an amorphized animal. Like it doesn't look like a wolf. So it's off-putting when she transforms, because Yuki, when like stressed,
I just got a Full Metal Alchemist fucking flashback.
Why?
Because of the little girl and the dog.
Oh. Well, it looks better than that, but like it's still like the transformation is not like a whole sequence or anything. It's just like her face just changes, kind of like it kind of blends in, and then it changes, and she transforms when stressed. So like the mom, Hana, basically like raised the kids in that apartment, like just in the apartment for like 4 or 5 years. Like she refused to take them outside because they couldn't like control when they would transform. And she's like, holy shit, I'm gonna get in trouble if I keep walking around fucking wolf children things fully clothed.
And then fucking CPS shows up. Fucking Child Protective Services come for like what is it, welfare check or whatever, or well-being check or whatever. Because
like they transform and like they're wolves half the time. She never took them to a doctor or to get vaccinated. And we talked about this in the Weathering With You episode. Like the Japanese government keeps like close tabs on everybody. You know what I mean? Like they know when you had a kid. They know if you visited the doctor. Your vaccination record has to be like impeccable to even like survive, to even like be able to participate in society. And that's what happens here. It's just like they're not vaccinated, like they haven't been to the doctor, they're not getting checkups, you're not making plans to put them in school soon. And she's just like, just leave us alone, I'm just begging you, just like leave us the fuck alone.
So they have to move. Yeah.
And Hana comes to that conclusion when the kids are playing in the park in their wolf forms.
Oh, yeah.
And she's like, I want you to be able to choose if you want to do like human stuff or wolf stuff. And they just move out to the country. They move out to rural Japan.
Oh, yeah. Wasn't there that scene that like she finally decides to take Yuki for like to the park, and she like encounters another dog, and she like turns briefly, so she has to like get her and run away, you know? And yeah, they move out to the country, and this, like, the story is unfolding in front of me, and I'm like, oh shit, like she's about to like, this is high risk.
I don't like stories like this. Maybe I'm just a big baby, but I don't like stories where the person I'm supposed to be like rooting for, it just feels like everything just sucks for them. Like, I hated like when Steve Carell was doing big films, because like all of those movies were just like, hey, I'm a fucking loser and life sucks. It feel bad for me for an hour until like I get the girl. You won't
feel bad for yourself. Bro.
Exactly. I hate movies like that. I hate just feeling like, wow, this person's just fucking garbage and like their life is terrible.
But then again, like, and this is where I believe we're both talking about like the movie having too many themes. Right here, we got introduced to this fantastical thing. But then again, it's not introduced, like it is like it keeps following that theme, but not really into like the end.
Right. Like, so like our favorite part was probably like the second act, right? Yeah. Like they move out to the country and it's just about them being raised. You know what I mean? Like, it's very sweet. It's cool. It's wholesome.
They get a shitty mansion.
They get a big ass old school, Japanese style house, like the ones with the partitions,
countryside,
like the kind of house from Fruits Basket.
Yes,
right. So it like the whole house is like one big room, kind of, but you can, with the partitions hanging off the wall, you can like make rooms out of it.
Yeah, you pretty much like construct your
own floor space.
Yeah, exactly. And what I was gonna say is that it's a shitty house. She buys it as a shitty house because they don't have a lot of money.
Yeah, like the partitions shillings, are broken. Like there's nothing's running. Like it's dirty as fuck. It was just abandoned and just like left open.
And and we have another montage of passage of time while the mom of what we believe is like the protagonist of the movie.
Right. The mom's basically the protagonist.
It is, but when we're getting that narrated from Yuki, it feels like we're gonna see Yuki later on.
Right.
Like this whole time we feel like mom is gonna pass away, we're gonna follow Yuki.
Yeah, for real. Like I'm just like, mom's gonna die. There's no way mom doesn't
Grave
die.
of the Fireflies just started flashing into my head, bro.
For real. Like Grave of the Fireflies is so traumatizing. We can't watch anything with like children being raised without just assuming something bad happens to the parents.
Cancer is around.
So, like, so we get that sequence of the mom just picking up the house and trying to make it fucking livable. And the kids, like, start growing up a little bit, and they're just, like, running around and playing. And you see that, like, Yuki in the countryside is spending a lot of time as a wolf. Like, a lot of time. And she's bullying a bunch of the animals, and that's something that...
She likes it.
She likes it. She likes being that bully wolf. Like, she's the alpha in the forest. And the neighbors, the air quotes neighbors, because they live so far away, they're like, their closest neighbor's still like 20 minutes away. Mm-hmm. But you hear people being like, oh, you're not gonna be able to grow any crops out here because the
realtor was telling her that.
Yeah, the realtor is telling her that, and he's like, you're not gonna be able to grow any crops here because the
soil's not good.
The soil's not good, and the animals come down and just start eating it. But that's where we as the audience is like, oh, but she's got a couple of wolves, and people are going to be afraid, like the animals are going to be afraid to come eat her crops.
And Yuki is pretty much like being shepherd dog, like around these animals and like, you know, like keep them away.
Right.
And we also get like this little piece of exposition that Ame?
Yeah.
Ame was also being a wolf with her, and he got his ass kicked by a boar. He was like, and Ame is being portrayed as like, no, like super sheltered, like, mom, please, like.
I thought the boar was going to be a bigger part of the movie by the end.
You were like, oh, somebody's going to get killed by the boar or something.
Yeah, because they kept bringing up the boar. Like, later on, like, no spoilers, but Hana learns how to farm, so we get like this badass, like, a training sequence about like this old crotchety man like teaching her what it means to farm out in the wilderness.
The whole thing turns into Gran Torino with Clint Eastwood.
Right, except like with Japanese people.
Yeah, like their closest neighbors, the main old guy in that farm, he's all about she's not gonna last here.
Yeah.
She's not cut out for this life. And then, like, for some reason, he pulls up to her property. Yeah. And then talks shit. And then he just dips.
Yeah, because, like, Hana had been, like, clearing the land and trying to plow through it. And, like, she failed a couple of times trying to grow some tomatoes.
She gets books. She goes to the library, which I really love that they tell you that if you want to learn something, you can just go out and get something to read about, and then...
Yeah, and then bam, you can do it.
And bam, you can do it. You know?
And that's what's... So the old man just sees her failing, and that's when he just, like, comes by and starts just, like, yelling at her and, like, coaching her and directing her how to, like, produce a crop. Just all potatoes. And even at the time, Hana's like, I don't need this many potatoes. What the fuck? Like, why would I do that? But she produces a crop. She gets a few... tons of, not tons, pounds of potatoes. Like, she gets, like, several sacks of potatoes.
A lot of sacks. I mean, as a family of 3 and 2 little kids, how many potatoes can you eat?
Right. But here's the trick about it, is Mr. Japanese Gran Torino here is basically, like, he did that so that she had something to trade and barter with. So she makes friends with all the rest of the neighbors.
Because she lives in a country community.
Yeah. Right. In a country community, and they're trying to, like, they're all giving her input at this point on how to, like, keep pests away, how to keep the bugs away, how to grow different crops. By if you plant, like, certain crops in a certain order, then, like, the soil will maintain a certain level of, like, nutrients, and it'll keep away different organisms and certain pests.
And, like, homemade DIY, like pest repellent and shit like that. And it's a beautiful montage. And I don't know, dog, like, this movie trying to sell me, like, oh, the fucking mom that can do it all. I mean, my mom could do it all. And
I think a lot of people like to think of their mom that way. You know what I mean?
You know, and it just feels like, fuck yeah, it's like...
Like, you're really rooting for her. This is, like, my favorite part of the movie. Is this whole middle part of just Hana learning how to be a badass farm mom.
And then not just that, like, when she felt that something was wrong, you know, because anime, she says, like, once he's dead and stuff, she was like, just take good care of my children. So that was her burden to carry. You know what I'm saying? Not burden, but like he wanted to do good by the dad's, like, last wishes, even though he didn't have a last wish.
Yeah.
You know? But, like, so she was motivated by taking care of her children, because she was like, we can't spend so much money on regular groceries. I think we're gonna have to start growing our own.
I think that's what's sad as fuck about the dad, is the only picture she has of the guy
is the ID.
Is his driver's license or his ID or whatever. And it's so, like, fuck, because they do that thing that we see in Japanese movies a lot, where it's like a shrine to the person, a dead person. Like, it's like an ofrenda in fucking, in that one movie. So whenever she's like looking for advice, she has nobody to turn to, and she's just talking to like this tiny picture of the man on a driver's license, and they never name him. They never name the dad.
And it's so wholesome.
Yeah,
it's so crazy wholesome. And then we get to a point where, okay, neighbors are involved. She's getting different food. She's preparing for the winter because...
Oh, that was the bartering thing. I didn't finish that point. So she has all these potatoes, but because she's now made friends with all the neighbors, she hands them a sack of potatoes and they give her turnips or
corn or rice.
Yeah, so now she's ready for the winter because everybody spent all year helping each other as a community. It's like that saying.
It's beautiful.
It's like that saying where it takes a village. It takes a village to raise a child.
Yeah.
That's exactly what's happening, right? Like she needs all this advice and all this help, but they come together as a community. It's human ingenuity. You know what I mean?
I'm tired of living under capitalism.
Yeah, me too. yeah.
We were just talking about that. We didn't put the one to one together.
Oh my god. But so it's
grow some carrots next week. I'll grow some potatoes.
Yeah, I got you, bro. In December in El Paso.
Yes.
So it's we get this crazy. So that was during like peak harvesting season, everything, which is summer and all that, and then we immediately go to winter. Their first winter out in the burbs, and they get a really big snow. And this is where, like, we get this, again, a really beautiful sequence of the children turn into wolves and just start running. Just start running through the mountains in the snow, and it's great. The mom's happy. The kids are happy. They figured this country shit out. They know how to farm. They're ready for the winter. And it's beautiful, and the kids are, like... We discussed earlier that Ame at first was really frail and sickly.
Timid.
And he would always throw up if they went hiking together. And right here, it's...
Before you go further, bro, you know what I hated?
What?
The fucking CGI Dragon Ball Z passage of, like, travel.
Yeah.
Oh, God, dude. That was terrible. It was fine one time. But they put it there every chance they got.
There's like a really bad like tendency to put things in CG in this movie, and I don't get why it happens.
But you know which one I'm talking about, right? When they're running through the woods and you can see like the trees coming at you, and like they see this like blinding light at the end of like the trees, and they used that like 3 times in this movie.
Yeah. It does that thing that a lot of these directors that we were talking about do, where it's like they're trying to show off a little bit. They're being a little gaudy and they're just trying to like flex their animation prowess. But that one sequence you're talking about happens like 3-4 times, and it's not impressive.
And I don't think that's something. If you're gonna show something CGI, I don't think this is it.
All the crowds are in CGI. All the cars are in CGI.
And now that I'm thinking about it, because we did mention at the beginning of the movie, the back shots or the background of the movie as our animated characters are walking through or stepping on, it's different because the back shot, it's a really good like art drawn, but
that's what I want to talk about.
But they are animated the same as Summer Wars, but Summer Wars had the same animation throughout. Over here, it looks like South Park almost.
Right, describe that. Because, like, yeah, the character models themselves look very minimalistic almost. They look like stylized, like very sharp edges. They don't draw a whole lot of facial features. They want you to, like, as the audience, kind of plug in what they would look like and express. Even
like say if you're wearing like a long sleeve and you have your arms down, they don't even like shade. They just have a line through it. You know what I'm saying? They don't shade perspective or depth perception in their characters.
But they have this layered background where if I first noticed it a lot in the sequence where the dad was showing off that he's a wolf or whatever, because it's nighttime and you see like the skyline of like the buildings and the mountains and the trees, but then in the background they have like a constantly moving like star landscape. You know what I mean? Which is cool. Like, it's so crazy that they did that.
And thank you for reminding me, because I also noticed that shot because it stars. They pan out to the skyline, to the sky site or whatever, And yeah, it's nighttime. You see a lot of stars, and then it starts becoming morning. But then you realize when it hits morning, you can still see some stars like in the backdrop as well.
Right.
It looks fucking ridiculous.
Yeah, it's so good.
Yeah.
It's so good. And here, yeah, that's what's like off-putting the whole movie is that nothing in the forefront of the shot looks that detailed, but everything in the background is all like hyper detailed. So
it looks like South Park. Like if South Park was on top of like a better animated
background.
thing. Yeah, background.
But here's the thing, is that the background being the most like visually appealing part of what's on screen always, my focus always wants to go to the back of the screen and not to like the actual characters, which is like very distracting.
Yeah, it is distracting, but I mean, it does kind of make it easier to follow the characters later on in the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, what are we even talking about? So, it's
we're
the winter.
farming, and then
it's the winter. They're running through the mountains. They're walking back home, and Ame feels confident in wolf form that he can catch like some king-crested quail or some bird or something that he sees drinking out of a creek.
And at this point, we already had a conversation with the mom that asked Yuki and Ame how they wanted to live, even when they were living in Tokyo. Mm-hmm. And at first, we have an understanding that Yuki wants to be a wolf.
Yeah.
And that Ame just wants to be human and being
because he's reading a lot of books
yeah.
and he's learning about nature, but like through books and stuff.
Yeah, like children's books, like the wolf from the Red.
Little Red Riding Hood.
Yeah, that bit.
Yeah. And so right here he gets some confidence as a wolf, and he tries to catch a bird. But when they turn into wolves, they still have their clothes, right? So he trips on like his scarf.
I was like, ridiculous, bro. Like, why not lose the goddamn scarf?
Right. It gets really like panicky all of a sudden because like I like anime movies because they spend a lot of money on the music, right? So I've talked about it before. Like I like when music cues me up. I don't know. I don't know if that makes me feel like a lazy movie watcher, but I feel like it adds a lot because like all of a sudden, out of nowhere, the music is hyper panicky. So I'm like, oh my god, he's gonna die.
Fucking violins just going ham.
Yeah, just violins losing their shit. I'm like, he's gonna die. He's gonna fucking die. Because he falls into the river, and it's a frozen, it's a cold river, so he can't breathe. He's panicking, and he's just being swept down because he's a fucking puppy.
Hits his fucking head on a fucking rock.
He hits his head on a rock and starts just floating down.
And then we have the understanding that because she has fucking wolf children, she's running behind them like about like a quarter of a mile.
Right, like she's way back.
Yeah.
And so
when this happens, she's still like a quarter mile away.
Well, he's calling mommy too, and he's just like, oh my god. So then Yuki in wolf form is like, mom, something bad's happening. And we just see her running, the mom's running, and the mom's like, even trying to make her way down the creek is really hard for her. So luckily, Yuki pulls him out of the river. But unluckily, he's not breathing when the mom gets down there. So he's cold, he's not breathing, he's in human form, and the mom's just like, holy shit, open your eyes. And I'm just like, in my head, I'm like, just do CPR. Like, do something, do CPR, right? And she's just like, just shaking this body, like, open your eyes, open your fucking eyes. And I'm just like, oh my god, he's dead. He's so fucking dead right now.
And again, I think the movie's about to finish, bro.
Yeah, and we're at like 40 minutes.
Yeah, and it sucks because I didn't notice the first two hooks at the beginning of like the dad dying and then like being narrated by Yuki. But this hook, it was like, oh dude, you just made me believe that for nothing.
Right.
Almost.
So he does wake up.
Yeah.
He does wake up. Yeah. So it's like, oh.
And yeah, so because we have the like we're fucking Vietnam flashbacks on fucking Grave of the Fireflies here.
Yeah.
You know? And he's like, okay, he didn't die. Cool. Awesome. You know?
Yeah.
And she goes back. He wakes up and he's like, Mom, I felt confident. I felt like I felt like I could hunt. I felt like I could do wolf stuff. And yeah, he just stops being that timid boy out of the sun. Like he's introducing himself. He's talking to the neighbors now and stuff.
He's confident as a wolf, which is disappointing. Well, And here's my other thing about all these different themes. It's because, like, the next part of the movie after that is
she gets a job.
Well, she gets a job. The mom gets a job. Hana gets a job at, like, a nature conservation place, which is dope. And, like, she's working for basically nothing, but, like, she's really interested in the stuff. Ame's interested. He's going with her. And Yuki starts grade school, like pre-K and stuff. And, like, the next 30 minutes of the movie are all about Yuki going to school. So again, it feels like a totally different movie all over again for like the third time. And I feel like I didn't realize it until it was done. I was like, wait, this was a whole different movie 30 minutes ago.
Yeah, absolutely. Because now we start seeing a switch between Yuki and Ame here, because Yuki, not knowing her, because she's always been so sporadic, and like her mom didn't want to send her to school, because there's even like this piece of dialogue where the boys, the kids are like old enough, and she was like, hey, like this thing with the wolves has to be a secret. Like they understand the consequences, or like, you know, what the risk of transforming into wolf in front of people. So now when we have this dilemma with like Yuki wanting to go to school, the mom, obviously, Hana is losing her shit. She's like, she's so sporadic. She's not going to be able to handle it. And there's this cute, like, piece of, like, the anime that she's like, hey, like, I know you're excited for school, but, like, if you need to promise me you're not going to turn to school you're not going to turn to a wolf, like, when you're at school. And she gives her, like, this, like from fucking Wolf of Wall Street kind of thing.
It's like a rhyme or something you would tell to yourself. Like, they call it a rhyme in the dub, but it made me want to watch it in the sub to see, like, how it came out. Like, if it really rhymed or something like that. Like, it's a little quip.
It's probably like single syllable words.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Just easy enough for her to remember. So she remembers to coach herself and be like, I'm not going to turn into a wolf. I'm going to stay a good little girl. And so we have her going to school, and she's excited at first, but then she's like a tomboy. So she doesn't like it because she had, for like show and tell or whatever, she has like, the other girls are showing off their mom's jewelry or like hairpins their parents gave them. But she's like, oh, I have a box full of dead birds and stuff.
And then for a second, even before school, you think that fucking Yuki's gonna lose her shit and be like a savage animal. Because she's so like, she likes being a wolf and she likes having agility. She likes having the speed, the hunting feel to her. And then in school, when she's showing like that shit, she's like, oh fuck, it's like, this is not cool.
Yeah. Because it's like it was something else too. Like, she's really good at sports and she's really aggressive, but like girls aren't like that. So she tells herself, no, from here on out, I'm going to be more feminine. And the mom like does a really good job, like making her like a cute dress, like to go to school in, which I'm like, oh, wow, that's so fucking sweet.
I like how they have a laugh about it. Cause it's not shown in animation, but she obviously, like in this small scene, in context, you know that she already told her that she wants to be more feminine. So they're sitting at a table and the mom is just like, laughing because she's like...
That's a good joke.
Yeah. And it's cool. Like, you're invested in so many things repeatedly.
Right.
It's getting tiring at this point.
Yeah, it's exhausting as an audience member. Like, you're just emotionally drained like 3-4 times. It's like, this isn't fun for me. Because
and then Yuki decides to be more feminine,
yeah. So, but the thing is, we get introduced to Yuki's would-be like boyfriend or something. So they get a new kid in school some period of time later, and his name's Sohei. But he's a lot like how Yuki used to be, or how the real Yuki is, where he's really loud and aggressive, and like he's very forthright. And Yuki's trying to not be that person. But right away, he's got a good nose or something. I thought he was gonna be a wolf. Whereas she's just like, right away, he's like, why do you smell like dog? And no one else had ever brought that up. And it makes her really self-conscious. And Yuki knows that she's supposed to be keeping this wolf children secret. So she just tries staying away from the guy. And he keeps poking and pressing her.
Honestly, it went so much deeper for me because the question when he's like, "Hey, you have a dog?" Like, he was almost interested. Like, I like dogs too.
Yeah.
What kind of dog do you have?
Yeah.
You know, like, it seemed like that. Like,
okay.
to me, it was like, "Hey, you have a dog?" You know, like, what kind of, and then when she said, "No, I don't," he was like, "Oh, really?" He's like, "Oh, I thought you would have a dog. You smell
a lot like dog."
like someone that might own a dog, you know?"
Yeah.
And, it's, and then when, I believe she got embarrassed because she wants to be more feminine at this point. Like, this is her upcoming.
Did we both completely have different interpretations of that sequence then?
Well, I'm just saying, like, to me right here, it seems like she's coming into, like, what, you know, womanhood. Mm-hmm. And it feels like she was more embarrassed than just keeping the secret.
Okay. I completely interpreted that different. Which is cool that, like, people in the same room watching this could, like, get different, like, experiences from it. You know what I mean? Like, that's dope. Because it gets really panicky. This is where the craziest music directing scene is this next sequence. He basically corners her outside, like literally puts her in a corner and is being really aggressive and yelling like, "Hey, why are you avoiding me? Why are you avoiding me?" And she just wants to be alone. She's like, "Dude, just get the fuck away from me." Like, God, like my girlfriend's not a large person, you know what I mean? Like, she's like 5, almost nothing. So like when she talks about like, She bartends and she talks about like being worried getting out early because like somebody in the bar might like try to approach her outside.
Correct.
And this is how that felt, where it's just like, dude, like
being corner.
Get the fuck away from her. You know what I mean? Like, she doesn't want you near her. It doesn't matter your intentions. Just you're freaking her out.
And I completely get that. I completely get that aspect. But right here, when she's running away from him, again, the fact that he was concerned why she didn't like him. Makes me believe more of like my interpretation of the beginning of like, "Hey, do you have a dog?" It means like he wasn't being a dick. He was like really asking. It's like, "Hey, did I do something to
piss you off?"
To piss you off,
yeah,
but he kind of takes it too far.
Yeah, he does. It's the aggressive part. Like,
and obviously, like, if don't get me wrong, if you want to ask a girl, "Hey, did I offend you in any way?" Ask once if she runs away from you. If she runs away from you,
bro.
Just fuck off.
Just fuck off.
Yeah.
I feel like that's what a lot of guys don't get. It's just like, dude, just fuck off.
Yeah.
Like,
and yeah, she ends up, she's running and doing her chant. It was something corny in the dub.
I'm going to be a good little girl all the way home. I'm going to be a good little girl all the way home.
I'm going to be a little girl. Yeah, I'm going to be a little girl all the way home. Yeah, some shit like that.
But because he's like cornering her, she freaks out and like she
semi converts to like a wolf.
A wolf, and like slices his fucking ear open with her wolf paws.
Yeah.
And like he sees it for a second and he starts freaking out and he kind of passes out just out of like shock, I guess.
Yeah. Wolf girl.
And he's like bleeding all over the floor and she's freaking the fuck out.
Because she has blood on herself.
Like she totally did this. So she gets sent to the principal's office and like Hana has to show up and Hana starts freaking out because she's like, because the boy right away is like, "No, it was a wolf that cut me. It was a wolf that cut me." And Hana knows what that means. She's like,
her.
"Holy shit, you went wolf. You went wolf." Because yeah, Sohei kind of knows he fucked up, which is like a lot of maturity for somebody that's like 6.
Yeah.
And he's just, he doesn't want, the mom's freaking out. Sohei's mom's freaking out.
Say.
Right, well, he's like, he doesn't want this girl to get in trouble because he was being a fucking asshole.
Yeah. And the mom was pretty aggressive too. She was like, "Fuck you.
I'm gonna sue you if he has fucking hearing loss. I'm fucking coming for your ass." And Sohei, like, to make sure Yuki didn't get in trouble, he never blamed Yuki. He was like, "No, dude, like, a wolf came at me. It wasn't Yuki. Mm-hmm. And it's terrifying. Like, Hana almost makes Yuki, like, stay home from school. Like, permanently.
Yeah. And we even haven't talked about Ame's development here.
Right. So,
Ame being a wolf boy, he's like, he starts showing a lot of interest in wolves besides his story. He, like, now that he's older, he's not looking at like kids stories anymore or kids books anymore. He's like, "I'm interested in wolves." So when the mom, Hana, got the job at this conservation department thing.
Yeah.
They have a wolf in captivity. Not captivity, but like...
Yeah, captivity.
Captivity? Oh, yeah. And she gets the job. She introduces Ame to the wolf, and we are like super led to believe that this is going to be another fantastical being, but it just ends up being a wolf.
Yeah.
Because not only did Ame just met a wolf and he's so interested in it, but then at the same time, he also saw a sad wolf being in captivity.
Right. And he didn't want to be that person.
Yeah.
Which is when, like, from here on out, basically, Ame is the main character, right? So, like, the beginning, Hana had her time. We just gave Yuki her time. And from here on out, it's like Ame, right? And Ame's whole morality story is that, like, you should never cage yourself to be what society wants to be. And if you want to be a free wolf, you go be a free wolf.
But that was never an issue.
It was never an issue until now. You know what I mean? Just all of a sudden. So Ame, he started going to school. We're watching Passage of a Few Years here. And he, at a certain point when he's like 9-10 years old, he just stops going to school. And he just starts hanging out in the mountain every day, talking to some sensei. And his mom just kind of lets him. His mom doesn't even worry that he doesn't go to school at all. And he's just hanging out in the mountains with some random man she thinks it is.
Yeah, and... yeah, it's weird because we see like also like Yuki riding the bus, like not a school bus, like a regular bus, and we're like, I wouldn't let my child do that.
Honestly, I've thought about that before, and it made me think of Miss Kobayashi's Dragon Maid because there's Kana in Miss
But she's a dragon; she can defend herself.
Right. But you see it where it's like her classmates and other people just get to walk home without parent supervision because Japan's safe. Not like here, like all we hear about children like not having their parents is they get scooped up by predators, right? Like that's how American culture feels terrifying. But anime tries to make Japanese culture seem like it's so safe out there that the kids can just walk to school.
And it just puts me in this place of the movie, what was it? Was one of Miyazaki's movie, the one that where World War One never happened? Was that Howl's Castle or
World War One never happened,
or was that Kiki's Delivery Service?
That was Kiki's Delivery Service. Kiki's Delivery Service.
Yeah. So it put me in that spot. I'm like, okay, this is a fantastical world where children can do their fucking thing like that.
Right.
But what were we talking about? Ame is seeing this wise man. This sensei guy. And Miyagi.
And Hana goes and meets him one day. And it's just a fucking fox. It's a fox.
Drawn amazingly.
They draw him with like Mushu sensei looking like
he's
facial
old.
hair.
You can tell he's old.
Yeah. But it's a wolf, you know what I mean? And
as fox.
It's a fox, and Hana really thought that it was like a man, it was gonna be a person, so she brought food, like, to, like, thank the guy for, like, helping teach her son, and he just grabs, like, a peach or something and takes it off, so we get, like, the sequence of, Fox Sensei and Wolf Ame, like, running through the forest, and that's how he's learning how to fish, he's learning how to hunt, he's learning his way around the mountain.
And we know about, like, the whole, like, shrine thing with a fox. Foxes, shrines are wisdom and shit like that, you know? People that guide you and stuff like that. So, like, the symbolism, it's spot on.
Yeah.
Right there,
yeah,
you know?
Because
even Ame introduces the fox to her mom. It's like, he's the elder one. He protects this mountain and the creatures in it. And it's nice. It's good because, I mean, you want to see... like, you want to find your own happiness. And when you see somebody find a small amount of their happiness, it's nice, you know?
Right.
And he found it. So it's a whole wholesome fucking scene.
So, like, Hana's whole thing for moving out to the country was to give the kids the choice, right? And at first, the daughter was Yuki was totally more the wolf. And Ame was totally more the boy. And then it switches near the end of the movie, and that's just kind of where we're left. You know what I mean? So the climax of the movie is that there's a thunderstorm. Ame is so attuned to nature and has learned so much from the sensei fox thing that, like, he knows that, like, a bad storm's coming, right? Like, he can feel it. He knows what to look out for. And he tries telling Yuki, like, no, don't go to school. And that's after they have, like, a really bad fight. because like they turn into full-blown wolves and just tear apart the house.
Because they started talking about the conflict of, oh, what are you gonna be? So Yuki is doing her homework, and Ame's like,
why are you doing that? That's all useless.
Yeah. And then she's like, you better show up to school tomorrow. Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, you're being fucking weird just hanging out in the mountain.
And then he's like, fuck no, I'm a wolf. It's like, no, you're not a wolf, you're a human. It's like, no, you're not a human, you're a wolf. And they go at it like rabid dogs, bro.
Right. And like, Hana can't even get in the middle because they're like fucking wolves. You know what I mean? Like, she'll literally get hurt. And the kids get hurt. They're both all bloody and beat the fuck up. And the ending of that fight sequence is Yuki going into the bath to take a bath, and she's all beat the fuck up and has a bunch of scratches and stuff. And it's
crying and shit.
And it's so sad. You know what I mean? Like, if the morality of the story is that you should be yourself and you can be your own persona or whatever. Like, if your real self is beating up your sister, I don't think that was the right choice to make, bro. I really don't think so.
It was a scrap. It was conflict. It was drama. It was like domestic girlfriend kind of drama.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And speaking of domestic girlfriend, we spoke about this. We didn't see we saw a sex scene in context, just like in domestic girlfriend, but that's the only time
we've seen. How many anime? This is the second time we've ever seen like a real like animated like sex scene. It's crazy stuff. Because even in something like Rent a Girlfriend, there was no sex scenes. It was all imagined on his part. Remember, It was always like, oh, I bet she's hooking up with some new guy already, and just imagining his ex like being with a new girl or a new guy. And here, so I'm talking about Ame feels bad about a thunderstorm coming. Hana goes to school, and she just gets like stranded at school, kind of, because
it's kind of stupid because we start seeing a flipped sex dynamic here of what Hana was to her husband. What's his husband's name? The Wolfman.
That's what I'm saying. They never named him.
Yeah, they never name him. And so we see a flip thing here where there's a boy and a wolf girl now. You know, and they're getting to know each other just
and
like...
it's Sohei. It's Sohei. Because even after Yuki hurt Sohei, he keeps coming to the house trying to be her friend. You know what I mean? He's dropping off gifts and food and like homework and stuff like that. Like, he's trying to do right by her. Like, he knows he kind of fucked up, which is, again, like a lot of maturity that even grown fucking adult men don't realize that when they fuck up harassing a woman.
All their characters are like 80% fucking high schoolers.
Yeah, you know? Exactly. So it's really sweet. You know what I mean? It's like, wow, like they really might start like might grow up together and start dating or something. And when Yuki is abandoned at the school because she's waiting for her mom to come pick her up, for Hana to come pick her up, the only two people that are at the school are Sohei and Yuki.
And then she's not even abandoned. Like, there's a little before like this plot point right here. Ame comes to the mom. It's like, hey, the elder one, he hurt himself really bad. It's like the mountain needs. I don't think he's gonna live long, and the mountain needs another protector.
Yeah.
She's like, the mom Hana. She's like, no. Being her mother self, you gotta let your kids fly. You know, you gotta let your kids.
Well, he's 10.
Yes, but he's also a wolf boy.
But he's 10.
But he's also a wolf boy.
But he's 10. I would have had the same reaction as the mom. I felt for the mom. I was like, honestly, when this scene was happening, I was like, I really, really hope that Ame does not abandon his mom.
And he doesn't. He doesn't. He stays behind.
He does.
Know, up to this point, even when the rainstorm came, he was like, damn, like the animals are gonna need help. You know, the mountain is gonna need help because of this storm. And he decides to leave when Yuki got released early, but your parents have to pick you up because of the storm.
Right. So Hana gets the call and she's like, hey, come pick up Yuki. And she's like, oh, okay. Hey, Ame, you want to come with me? And Ame's just like disappeared up the mountain. So then Hana kind of abandons Yuki at the school and instead like tries to like hike up the mountain to try to get back Ame. So then we have this terrible feeling sequence of just like Yuki, Hana having the worst time on the mountain.
The bear, bro.
She almost gets attacked by a mama bear with her cubs, which we know is like she'll kill you just to protect her cubs. Or she falls down the mountain and gets super beat the fuck up. She twists her ankle, she breaks her leg, a bunch of different stuff. And she passes out in the rain outside on the mountain top. And and then Ame just comes out and he carries her back to her house.
And even before this, back to Yuki at the school, the kids are getting picked up. They're all in the gym, which reminisce a lot to like what happened like in school when it was raining outside. They wouldn't let you go out, so they used the gym for like a recess area. Mm-hmm. And everybody's getting picked up, and there's two little kids that they're hanging out with, Yuki and Sohei. And there's like this feeling of bonding between them, but then Sohei is he's comforting the little kids because the little kids are scared.
Yeah.
He's like, nah, bro, we'll play some cards. I'll go get some cards. But then he just fucks off.
Yeah, he just takes a nap in the classroom instead.
Yeah. And that's when Yuki goes to find them. And while she's doing that, the teachers were like, hey, anybody else remaining, we'll take you, to your house.
Yeah.
Which, again, it's ugly to think about in America. Like, don't leave with your teacher.
Right. Well, the only time I can imagine in an anime we've seen, like, the teacher taking somebody home, it was terrible too because it was erased. That's what I was going to bring up. Because in Erased, he tried to fucking murder him like while taking him home. So I was like, wow, this is going to be on some erase shit or something. Mm. But everyone just goes home and just leaves these two like third graders just hanging out in the school by themselves all night. And like, well, they're like 11. I don't know how old that is, but there was a second where it's like, it's Yuki telling Sohei in the abandoned school, like, I'm ready to become a woman or something. I'm like, wow, are they really gonna make 11-year-olds fuck? Like, what the fuck is going on?
And then Sohei is like, yeah, I feel the same way.
Yeah, and I'm like, what the fuck are we watching? Like, I know they're not opposed to showing nipples or a fucking sex scene in this movie. Please do not make anything happen between these 11-year-olds.
There is a right nipple here in this movie, earlier in this movie.
From breastfeeding. So it's not sexual.
It's not sexual.
Do not sexualize her.
Hey, I have a baby.
Yeah.
You can.
Well, you sexualized V&A, and now look at
No,
where we're
I
at.
Didn't sexualize her. But yeah, anyways, like,
so the kids are in the school abandoned. It's raining, but there's a great animated sequence.
Hold on, are you talking about the security guard looking for them?
Well, when Yuki's giving her confession in the classroom.
No. A little bit before that. Okay, so we get that piece of dialogue of like her, like, oh, I'm ready to become a woman, and he's like, oh, I feel the same way, blah blah blah. We have this little, maybe a minute, maybe 45-second scene of like a security guard going through rooms and checking there's nobody there. And he's like, hello, there's anybody there? And I'm like, is the security guard gonna catch this 11-year-old's bucking? And I'm like, please don't be bucking. Like, please.
I felt like the adult when it's just like, please, children, please, kids, do not do this.
And there's this amazing form of animation where the security guard opens the door to a classroom and we're looking at a scene of his flashlight going like scanning the room like side by side
over the desks and stuff.
And I'm like, oh, this is gonna pan out to them bucking. Please don't be that. But then I noticed in the back they're hiding in plain sight.
Right, which it's animated so well that you can't even see it.
Yeah,
like,
I got it like the last second. I'm like, oh, they're right there. And then like they popped out
of from behind the desk.
Yeah, and it's a steal.
So you can see them like behind the table legs. Mm-hmm. Right? Only if you're paying attention. If you like you were like scanning for it. And it looks crazy. Like this whole movie's animated so well because the very next scene after that with the kids is they open the windows in the classroom and they're talking and Yuki's like basically being like, hey Sohei, like it was me that cut your ear, I can turn into a wolf. But they do it from a first person perspective, like if I'm Sohei looking at Yuki talking to me. and the curtain is moving in front of the character model. And it I know it doesn't sound like a lot, but the more I thought about it, the more I was like, wow, that's a crazy piece of animation, because it's like the character model is over the backdrop, right? They're animating the character model and they're using one singular backdrop every time. So you animating something on top of the character model takes a whole nother layer of animation on top of it.
Multiple layers. Because as you're saying, like the curtain with the window open, the wind is flaring this curtain, you know?
Yeah.
And as she's like, hey, it was me, I'm a wolf girl, our POV is her behind one of the curtains.
Right.
And what you're saying is like, not only do they have the backdrop of like the background, which is animated very well, they have her like centered on the frame, and then probably like, I want to say like 50 different cells of like the curtains moving on top of her. And it looks very cool because she, as the curtain is covering her, we can see her shadow and almost a colorized shadow.
Yeah.
And she turns back and forth to wolf and girl.
And it's not just that. It's like the character model itself is also changing because she's changing into wolf form while talking in human form. So it's the more you think about it, it's like, wow, that was really, really fucking hard to do. I wonder how many man hours they spent on this one 10-minute sequence. Not even 10 minutes. It's like 30 seconds.
Yeah, who the fuck knows? But at times where they use CGI, just in this scene, I'm like, okay, they spent some time on it.
It reminds me of like how freaked out or how impressed I was in Weathering with You, where they do the CG overlay on the background when they do like a forced perspective, like 360 degree, like spin around the characters. It felt like that. It's so wild the more you think about it. But at that same time, I just hate...
Jose's like, I know.
Huh?
What is it, Jose? Or
Jose?
Yeah.
Who? Hana? Yuki?
No, the guy.
Sohei.
Yeah, Jose. So Jose. Sohei. My bad. Sohei. He's like, yeah, I know you were that girl. It's like,
I know you were the wolf.
Yeah, and like, don't worry about it. It's like, I'm not gonna say anything.
I'm not gonna tell you. I thought he was gonna confess to her right there, like in anime, like Confession of Love, just kind of stuff, like a la Love is War or something.
Season 3's coming out.
Season 3 is coming out. We need to watch season 2.
No,
we did watch season 2.
We knocked them out both.
Oh, we're so good at fucking watching anime. So, anyways, we're basically at the end of the movie. Ame drops his mom off in a parking lot, and he's just like, "Hey, mom, like I'm just leaving forever. I have to go be a wolf boy at 11 years old."
And here at this point, I'm exhausted.
Right.
I'm exhausted because I think that Ame's thing could have been shorter.
Right.
In a way, because I was following Ame for a long time. I'm like, okay. And then, so I was reading to you before we started recording the podcast. Yuki means rain and Ame means snow. So he found out his purpose in that snowy day when he fell into the creek. Hana here finds
Yuki.
I mean Yuki here finds her purpose during a rainy day, but it took so long to get to that rainy day.
Right.
You know?
And it's just, I feel so bad for Hana, because Hana's basically the protagonist, and the end of the story is just like, when they first move into like the rural house, the guy selling them the house tells them like, yeah, the nearest middle school is 2.5 hours away. So Yuki basically, as soon as she hits middle school, moves out of the house to go live in the dorms at the middle school. And at 11 years old, Ame went to go live in the woods and be the wolf protector of the mountain. And the older Yuki, as the voiceover, literally tells you that Hana just lives alone now. So she raises these kids for like 12 years and then just lives by herself in this abandoned house. And before
we hit that, like, when Hana was looking for Ame, she almost fucking died. And we believe she fucking died because now she's talking to fucking Wolfman and like this
the dad
fucking heaven, like after near death experience thing we're going on with Hana.
Right.
And dude, I'm like, oh fuck, she died. It's like, cause there's a shot of her in this like near death experience. It's like she looks at this silhouette of what it looks to be Ame. He's like, Ame, over here. But it's a husband. And then I'm like, oh shit, she's dead.
They were never married. It's not her husband.
Okay, whatever.
Baby Daddy Wolf.
Baby Daddy Wolf. Wolf Daddy. Wolf Daddy. and he's like, hey, what's up? It's like, I love you. And I'm like, fuck, she's dead. It's just getting closer
right,
to
they're in heaven. Like, it's a field of flowers. Like, she's talking to a dead man. And she asks him, she's like, what do I do about Ame? Like, he wants to leave me. And he's just like, you have to give him the decision to choose. And you're right. So, like, she does come back to life in that parking lot after Ame fucking drops her off. And then we get this sequence of Ame running up the mountain just to like howl at the top of the mountain as a wolf, and it's just totally like it's the moral of the story, which is just
be yourself.
You be yourself and be the wolf boy you want to be. Be your persona, and it's just like I hated it in the moment. I hated it so much.
And then again, it opened you with furry stuff and it's closing you off with furry stuff.
I hated it so much because it's like. The moral of the story, the moral of the movie is that you should just be yourself, even if that means embracing your persona.
Yes.
Which is fucking...
Terrible ending. Terrible ending to a fantastic compilation of montages.
Right. It's not a movie, it's just a compilation of montages.
And it's good.
Yeah.
You know, the middle is good.
It's a solid middle
it's
section.
all middle, bro.
But the beginning is a fucking roller coaster. The end is just fucking dog shit.
Yeah.
The middle is the good part of it. But I think that ties us up for the meat and potatoes of our episode here. Should we go ahead and do you have another point?
Yes, right before, please, if you are listening, we are coming up to the Nerd Down, and on the Nerd Down, there's gonna be heavy Spider-Man spoilers. Again, spoilers.
Spider-Man No Way Home.
No Way Home. Tom Holland, Zendaya.
It came out 3 days ago. We are recording this on the 19th. This movie came out 3 days ago. It's probably gonna be film of the year. It's already broken all these fucking premiere day records. So please, if you have not seen Spider-Man No Way Home, just stop listening. Now, I won't be offended.
And thank you for listening.
And thank you for listening. I appreciate you. But for everyone else, we're about to go into the Nerd Down.
Nerd Down.
Nerd Down. Nerd Down. Welcome to the Nerd Down, where the nerds get down. I just took a pee and have my energy back up. And we are ready to talk about Spider-Man No Way Home, this behemoth of a film.
And saying that, please, again, if you're listening, there's heavy spoilers for Spider-Man. So if you don't want to fucking get spoiled by Spider-Man, don't blame us, because we're telling you twice.
And right here, we do want to go over our plugins again. Please follow us on any social media app. It's Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube at Between Nerds.
Any podcast platform that you guys might have.
Between Nerds, one word. And please send us your questions, comments, or concerns to betweennerdspodcast@gmail.com. And please enter our December giveaway. We have no entries so far. Please use hashtag OurNerdsMatter. That is OurNerdsMatter in an original tweet or Instagram post to be entered into our December giveaway. And for every like and retweet on original posts that use hashtag OurNerdsMatter, we will be donating to the El Paso chapter of NAMI. That is the National Alliance of Mental Illness.
Absolutely, bro. I couldn't say it better myself.
But honestly, it feels like second nature plugging our plugins sometimes to me.
No, it sounds great. Yeah. But to all our nerds, happy Friendsmas. We did enjoy a nice Friendsmas last night.
Shout out to Emerson Armendariz.
He might be on our next episode.
There is a 50-50 chance that he will commit the time to be on our podcast next week.
Mm-hmm.
So, hope to have Emerson here. We will be talking about season 1 of My Hero Academia. Finally, we're doing My Hero Academia.
But when we started this podcast, it was a understanding between us that it's too early to talk about My Hero Academia.
And then we got to a certain period where it's like, we have so much stuff to talk about. It's like, when are we going to fit in My Hero Academia?
My Hero, Demon
Slayer, yeah, we still haven't talked about Demon Slayer. Jesus Christ.
You know, so, but yeah, I'm excited for that week. 12 episodes, easy.
12 episodes this week. I've probably seen season 1 of My Hero Academia like 5 times.
And please, I feel like we haven't mentioned this lately, but please watch with us.
Yeah.
Watch with us. Join us in our conversations. You're getting this episode on Monday morning as we have scheduled like the past 10, 15 episodes.
Mm-hmm.
You know, 7 a.m. on Monday. And yeah, just watch with us and listen so we can have a conversation about anime. And if you feel some type of way, just email us again.
Yeah, absolutely. Because, like, even on Twitter, just, like, if you're like, oh, you're watching My Hero this week, this means X, Y, and Z to me, please talk about this point, and that point. We would love that. You know what I mean? Like, we've always tried to structure this as, like, a place to give y'all's input. Because this is between nerds, you know what I mean? It's not Drew and Aldo's opinion. This is...
I mean, even the animes that we don't like, we try to see the best in the animes that
if it's recommended, we're pretty much guaranteed to watch it at some point.
Yeah.
Every anime. Even if we know going into it, it's absolute dog shit. We're gonna watch it just because you all recommended it.
And we're gonna give you our honest opinion about it, you know? And this is what that conversation is about. But anyways, I mean, this week, we got into Friendsmas. Again, shout out to Emerson. He did a great job remodeling his house. But we also saw fucking Spider-Man. No Way Home.
It's so good. Honestly, it's because...
It's been built up for so long.
It's because, like, for me this year, when it comes to films, the best standalone film for me still is probably Dune. It's probably Dune.
I didn't get to see it on HBO Max.
You didn't? They took it off HBO Max?
Yeah.
Oh my god, I'm sorry, bro.
Yeah.
But it's probably Dune. But Spider-Man probably means like so much more for me because it's like everything the MCU does feels like cheat codes. You know what I mean? You're guaranteed to give a shit because it's like it's building on 20 years of
Not
movie
until
watching.
now, though. Not until now.
But if I watch Avengers Endgame,
yes,
you're pulling in 15 years of me watching movies, right? So, like, I can't not have emotional investment in it.
Yeah, but, like, the difference between what happened in Spider-Man No Way Home and compared to the Infinity Saga is that we were watching the Infinity Saga live. It was a progressive storytelling. We didn't know Infinity Wars was going to happen. We didn't know Endgame was going to happen.
Right.
We were just watching movies that were colliding to each other as they were coming out.
Right.
In this, in this situation, we watch Spider-Man, like what, 2001, 2000, I believe the first Spider-Man came out with Tobey Maguire, blew the shit out of like,
what it meant to be a comic book movie, yeah.
Yeah, and then we got Spider-Man 2, we got Spider-Man 3. And
the Sam Raimi Spider-Man. So, like, Sam Raimi probably, like... he is the cornerstone of everything that like we'd like when it comes to MCU movies became because it's like we know that Kevin Feige, the CEO of Marvel Studios,
executive producer.
Well, his biggest title is I think either president or CEO of Marvel Studios, which is owned by Disney. But he got his first job in Hollywood working on X-Men, which those X-Men movies only came about because of the success of the Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies. So, like we already gave the spoiler tag, but like Tobey Maguire coming back as Spider-Man is like the wildest fucking thing to see in a movie because I can't not have investment in it. That was me as a kid. I've brought up multiple times that like Spider-Man was my favorite superhero. So it's like, I can't not fall in love with this movie just you having Tobey Maguire in it. It being good is a sub-fact. You brought back my childhood into, like...
something more amazing.
Into the biggest produced movie of the year. Like, that's so...
And then you play the video games and shit.
Right. Like,
it's so crazy. And we knew it was gonna happen, but the direction that I really like that they picked up at the end of Far From Home.
Mm-hmm.
Because Far From Home, if it had not been directly attached to the third movie, it would have been nonsense.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
And the way that they took Spider-Man to its core, and we talked about this before, throughout when Spider-Man Homecoming came out,
mm-hmm.
everybody, one of the
first Tom Holland,
yeah,
Spider-Man.
the first Tom Holland, the conversation was of like, fuck, are we gonna see Uncle Ben die again? Are we gonna see this origin story again? And throughout this trilogy now, like, we're like, where's Uncle Ben? Where's Uncle Ben? Where's Uncle Ben? And Tom Holland, Peter Parker gets in the crazy situation.
One of my favorite, we were drunk at Emerson's yesterday. And
we were drunk yesterday?
We were talking loosely about like this movie, trying to be mindful of the people around us and not trying to be too spoilerful. But like my favorite part of the movie technically is probably the storyboarding. Like the pacing on this bitch is absolutely insanely good. It's so crazy because especially like you're talking about, like you're trying to put the three movies in perspective. It's a fucking breakneck speed because like Spider-Man Homecoming starts off like a week after he got bit by the spider. So we're not watching the spider bite. We're not watching Uncle Ben die. We're not watching any of that. It's literally just, we're tossed in the audience into the world of like the Spider-Man who's like recently a superhero, right? Mm. And like No Way Home is like the same because it's like we're talking about the pacing of Wolf's Children and that first 20 minutes. This whole movie feels like that first 20 minutes of Wolf's Children because it's like, hey, everybody knows Spider-Man's identity. What are we going to do? Aunt May's involved. Zendaya's involved. Like everyone's going to get cucked going into MIT. Like it's just throwing everything.
The Stark Industry, Tech gets indicted. They get possession of a lot of shit.
Because I remember Avengers Endgame having this crazy pace to it. You know what I mean? It's like, hey, you've been thinking about this nonstop for 2 years. You know what's going on. We're not going to baby you. And Spider-Man No Way Home does the same thing, but like even crazier pace. Like it goes and goes and goes. It goes. Like it's like a 2 hour and 40-minute movie. It feels like it's like 30 minutes.
It did have a dull moment.
When?
I would like to point out that I was expecting
Dígame.
Te digo. Yo estaba esperando cuando presentaron a los otros Spider-Mans.
Sí.
I was waiting for a like, oh, we're here to help, or like immediate help to like
you
Tom
wanted
Holland,
the superhero
Spider-Man.
moment.
Yes, and then it became like this, like, comedic relief between Ned having magic now.
You know what made me feel bad? Is how good Andrew Garfield is in this. That shit makes me feel terrible. And the reason why is because, like, The
Amazing Spider-Man had bad reviews because...
Right. Near 2 hours in the movie, we get Tobey Maguire Spider-Man and Andrew Garfield Spider-Man, right? And the Amazing Spider-Man series, as portrayed by Andrew Garfield, was absolute dog shit. It was so bad the third one got canceled, right? Mm-hmm. And that's why Tom Holland was brought on, and they rebooted the whole series. But he tries so hard in this movie. Andrew Garfield tries so fucking hard, and it makes me feel terrible because it's like it was never Andrew Garfield's fault. It was the studio, because that's when Sony, like, after failing in Spider-Man 3, tried to reboot the series and do it in-house, and they didn't want to give it up to Marvel Studios, and they were like, we're Sony, we really got this. They didn't fucking got this, and they bombed 2 fucking movies. Both those movies lost fucking money.
Yeah.
And he tries so hard in this. He really was the Amazing Spider-Man, and it makes me feel so fucking bad.
There's a lot of shit we can talk about the end about Andrew Garfield's fucking character, but like, yeah, we follow Tom Holland being discovered as Spider-Man. They're living now in Happy's condo because May and him were breaking up, or it wasn't even a breakup. It was so we've been dating for 3 months kind of breakup.
Happy Hogan was Iron Man's assistant and him and Aunt May were dating, but not dating. It was more like a friends with benefits kind of thing.
A fling, and they flung.
Like a fling, and then Aunt May was like, "Hey, this has run its course. We're done." And this man like is totally distraught about it, and he's upset, and he's trying to like coax his way back into. It's like it's a meme. It's like him trying to beg his way back into the relationship. You know what I mean? This relationship that she wasn't even taking seriously. So,
but then now they have to live in his condo.
They have to live in Happy's condo because now that everybody in the city knows Spider-Man's identity, no one's leaving their fucking shitty apartment in Queens alone. Mm-hmm. So,
and they go back to school. There's a whole controversy of like putting them in interrogation. MJ, Ned, and Spider-Man,
and Aunt May,
and Aunt May, and they're just interrogating them. And Ned is talking out of his ass. And fucking Charlie Cox comes into the fucking picture as fucking Peter Parker's attorney.
Amazing. They canonized the Netflix Daredevil series because Charlie Cox is fucking what's the lawyer's name? What's his actual character's name?
Daredevil's alter ego.
No, his actual ego. Daredevil's the alter ego.
No, Daredevil's his person.
Right.
The alter ego is the person they fake to be.
Okay. Well, what's his name?
Anyways,
they canonized the Netflix Daredevil series because Charlie Cox is here as Peter Parker's attorney. And it's crazy because they really show him doing a split second of Daredevil shit. Somebody throws a brick through the window because everybody thinks that Peter Parker has murdered, what was the villain from the last movie?
Mysterio.
The whole world thinks that Peter Parker murdered Mysterio in cold blood. So they throw a brick through
Matt Murdock.
Matt Murdock, thank you. I remember telling Karen, like, when he came up, I was like, holy fuck, that's Matt Murdock. Holy fuck, that's Matt. Dude,
and if you think back at the Daredevil series, Netflix series,
it's good.
It is. If you want to attach it to Disney Plus, it's better than Wanda.
It's good, but they fucked it up because they tried tying it into the rest of the Netflix Marvel universe.
Well, yeah, but that doesn't count. It's like...
It does count. He was a really big part of that.
No, I know, but like, the first 3 seasons, standalone 3 seasons, like, that was the best show.
Well, Daredevil season 3 was about how at the what were they called? The Defenders?
I mean season, yeah, first season and second season.
Right, but what were they called? The Defenders?
Yes.
So that's what fucked up Daredevil season 3.
Jessica Jones is amazing too.
I love Jessica Jones, the first season especially. But what fucked up was the Defenders, and the Iron Fist series sucks dick. And like the leader of the Netflix Daredevil. The Netflix Defender series was Iron Fist, so that's what fucked it up too.
Oh, that was terrible.
It's really bad. But like the ending of the Defenders season is Matt Murdock presumably dying. And we spent all of Daredevil season 3 like trying to deal with the repercussions of the Defenders. And that's when Daredevil just went fucking straight down. Like just trying to carry this whole garbage like extended universe was bad.
Punisher season 1 was good too.
Punisher season 1 was good. Well, why was it so bad? Just Iron Fist basically. Just because even what's it called?
Luke Cage was
Luke Cage was good. Decent. It was
I like the villain was good.
The villain was
good. The guy that's gonna play Blade now?
Right. It was
Marshall something?
Marshall, yeah. It was good, but basically the Defender series was bad, and that took down, that tanked like everything else, because we were leading up to the Defenders. But the Daredevil scene in Spider-Man No Way Home that I was talking about is Matt Murdock catches the brick thrown through the window in midair, and he's blind. He's a blind lawyer. So even Peter Parker's like, how did you do that? And he's just like, you're gonna need a really good lawyer.
And no. It's so incredible because the dialogue is like, hey, Peter, don't worry. They have nothing to stick onto you. It's like you can keep about your normal life, but obviously normal life for Peter Parker as Spider-Man now, it's not going to be that normal.
Right.
And then like, because of what you said, there's some like cultists or believers to Mysterio that they hate Spider-Man now.
Right.
And there's a brick thrown into the window, and as Peter Parker extends his hand to catch it, fucking blind lawyer over here with his back against it, against the window that the brick was thrown in, he catches it first. And it's just amazing because Spider-Man's already OP.
Right.
But then Daredevil is...
It's because Spidey senses are OP. The most OP... Well...
But, like, check it. He has Spidey senses, but this guy just, like, knows what the fuck is going on.
That's why
like,
Daredevil's so cool, because he's human. You know what I mean? Like...
And Catholic.
Too Catholic. Way too Catholic. But, honestly, that's what makes me miss Daredevil so much. And that's what's so cool about Spider-Man. Because there's a point in Andrew Garfield's whole speech is that, like, and it's in the comics, too. Like, the what's crazy about Spider-Man is that, like, his powers on paper sound super bland and fucking whack. You know what I mean? But what's great about Spider-Man storytelling is that, like, when Andrew Garfield brings it up in this movie, the super strength is the most overpowered part, but Peter Parker in every universe just being an amazing person means he pulls his punches, right? So it's like he can literally be about to like be murdered by Electro or Doc Ock or something, but he's going to pull his punches because he's just this amazing human being. You know what I mean? And the second most overpowered power is the Spidey sense, because like we get a sequence later on where Doctor Strange, it's a scene in the trailer where Doctor Strange pushes Peter Parker's like ego, his spirit outside of his body. Mm-hmm. But the Spidey sense is so OP, the body can just like maneuver on its own. And
a little before that, when we get to this point, I mean, Peter is going through like this crisis because they now MJ, Ned, and Peter Parker are trying to live their normal lives. They're trying to go to college together.
Yeah.
And their goal is MIT.
Right.
So they have, like backup plans, and they also have the MIT admission thing. Mm-hmm. So they're waiting for like acceptance letters, and they're getting like denied by every single one of them, even MIT. And then I love how instead of acting it out, they know, we as an audience know that this Peter Parker, they're geniuses, yeah. And they want to go to MIT, and Peter Parker seeing them not being accepted because of the controversy makes them go to Doctor Strange.
Right. Because in Spider-Man Homecoming, we know that Ned and Peter are smart because not only are they going to a private high school, which was like a technical school, but they were in like the robot club. Like that was the main problem in Homecoming was Peter Parker was trying to get to the robot fighting fucking thing or whatever. Mm-hmm. So here it's like he feels so bad. It's like not only have I fucked up my own life, I fucked up everybody else's life. Mm-hmm. So everybody's theories on Doctor Strange and his motivations, that's probably the weakest point of Spider-Man No Way Home is the writing around Doctor Strange.
How come? I don't feel that way.
Because I feel like he had no motivation to do what he did. Because I remember we talk about YouTube channels all the time, like New Rockstars and stuff, where they try to break down trailers and being like every like New Rockstars and a lot of other prominent YouTube channels thought that maybe this was a false Doctor Strange, because why would this smart, capable Doctor Strange help a little kid rewrite the universe?
So this is what I was talking about. I was talking to Vianney about the trailers make you feel a certain way because they're trailers. They're filmed separately and written separately from the movie. So they're gonna want to do audio cutouts and stuff like that and misguide of what it was gonna be about.
Right.
So in the trailers and in a lot of theories of what was gonna happen, it was that Doctor Strange was not Doctor Strange.
Right.
And when you and when you watch the movie, okay, so you get that tease of, oh, maybe he's not Doctor Strange, because even in the trailers, when he's having the first conversation with Peter Parker, when the Sanctum Sanctorum is snowed in, and
okay, yeah, snowed in, yeah, I got you.
In the trailer, he's wearing the Eye of Agamotto,
right.
But in the movie, he's not wearing the Eye of Agamotto, right. So that's why
he was at the end, which I thought was really weird.
Yes, yeah.
And I don't know why that happened.
Exactly. But maybe it's just the casing of the Eye of Agamotto.
Right.
But, when he started having this conversation, and what I disagree with you that Doctor Strange's character was poorly written.
I didn't say poorly. I just feel like
not poorly, but there's lacking.
There's narrative, like, just questions I have, because it's like, why would the ever capable Doctor Strange want to rewrite the universe to help somebody whose just life is inconvenience? Which they try to write that off because there's that conversation Doctor Strange is having with Wong, where Wong's like, are you really going to just erase the whole universe's memories to help one kid? And he's just like, what do you mean? We did it for a party like a year ago.
Party? Remember Friendsmas?
Remember when we rewrote Friendsmas? And that's when, as an audience, you're led to believe, like, oh, so it's not that crazy, because they kind of rewrite everybody's memories for fun anyways.
And when we get to the spell casting or whatever,
casting. I like the word casting.
We know that it is a simple cast, it is a simple spell, but then Peter Parker, he started like, yo, wait, everybody's gonna fucking forget? You know? Like...
Yeah. It's the same scene from the trailer where it's like, oh, but can Aunt May know? Can Ned know? Can MJ know?
So he started fucking messing with the spell. So it makes sense because Doctor Strange is arrogant enough to be like, it doesn't matter, Wong, I'm just gonna do this real quick. Mm-hmm. And he even included himself.
Is Doctor Strange ego part of the comics?
Personality? Yes.
It is? Arrogance. It's in the comics?
He's an arrogant doctor, just like Tony Stark. He's an arrogant engineer.
Really? Mm-hmm. Because I never got that sense from the Doctor Strange MCU movie.
What do you mean? He kept insisting that he could have done it better. He's like, there has to be somebody who can do this, but I know I could have done it. And his arrogance.
Oh, his hand surgery?
Yeah.
Well, that's not the point I was making.
Oh.
Not the arrogance part, but like the part of arrogance that is the making of assumptions. That's like, I'm capable of anything, so I can do this, and that. It never felt like he thought he had complete control over the whole universe. Like, the Doctor Strange movie always felt like, hey, I'm learning this shit as I go too, so maybe, like, I'm not that confident in what I'm doing. But at this point in the MCU universe, this Doctor Strange is, like, too confident.
Exactly. So that, I mean, if you think about it, Doctor Strange has only had one movie, you know? So
Spider-Man's had 3, and
so not a lot of character development, but right here we're getting character development. We're getting the sense like he's still arrogant. He's still his arrogant self, and like when Wong told him, it's like, yo, please don't do this. Like, I can fucking do it.
What kind of hurt my perception of Spider-Man No Way Home as a whole is how the final after credits scene like put into perspective. It kind of tries to set it up like, hey, this is just the pretext to...
This is just the beginning of Spider-Man.
Right. This is just the pretext to Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. Mm. Because that's... like, I get that none of these 3 Spider-Man movies have contributed to the MCU as a whole all that much, which is why he's the friendly neighborhood Spider-Man.
And the contract are still tangible. We don't know if he's gonna keep being in the fucking Spider-Verse.
They said he was.
Yeah, they said he was, but like...
Sony announced it.
Yeah.
Sony announced that Tom Holland will be Spider-Man in 3 more MCU Spider-Man movies.
Oh, really?
Sony. That was who put it out.
Okay, that sounds awesome.
Not Kevin Feige.
So this is one of the 3 movies?
No. This is the end of this trilogy. We are getting 3 more.
Oh shit!
There will be at a minimum a total of 6 Tom Holland Spider-Man movies. That's what I'm telling you.
Oh, that's great. That's great stuff.
That news came out like Monday or something. So I don't know. It's just, I get it. Like I guess we'll understand more of Doctor Strange's motivations, like at the end of Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, which is next year, which like 2 weeks from now is next year. But I'm excited, but it hurts.
That was the point of this movie?
Right.
But not really, because it gets fucking dance, bro.
What happened?
Well, I'm not saying, like, when you're telling me this, that you're like, oh, fuck, it's too attached to Doctor Strange, it fucking delivered, bro.
It did. It really did, because it's exactly what we thought it was going to be in the trailers, right? Like, everyone...
Even more.
Everyone already assumed that it's just like, oh, They fucked up the spell that molded the universes, and now they have to catch all the villains from the other Spider-Man movies. It's exactly what the movie is. It's literally what the movie is. The trailer did not lie at all. There were no fakes anywhere in the promotion material.
And when fucking Peter Parker disturbs the fucking spell, Doctor Strange kicks him out, and he's like, "You didn't even call the universities to plead your fucking admission." And he's like, no. And he gets kicked out. So he's like, "Fuck, I need to talk to whoever in MIT."
Right. So Flash Gordon, or I don't know if his last name's Gordon.
I don't think it's Flash Gordon.
Flash, the presumed fake best friend of Spider-Man in these movies, he got into MIT. And he's going to some mixer with the other people that were accepted in MIT. And the vice chancellor or something's there, right? So, Tom Holland calls Flash and he's like, "Hey, where is this vice chancellor lady? How do I get to her?" And he's just like, "Well, she's on her way to the airport. Just try to get there." So as Spider-Man, since, his secret's out, he just gets to just swing around as Spider-Man and just go into traffic on the freeway trying to get to the airport and pressures her in the car "Hey, I don't care what you do to me, but Ned and MJ are great people. Please just let them into MIT. If your only reason for not letting them in was because of me, just do it." And that's when we get the scene from the trailers where it's Doc Ock attacking him on the freeway.
Yeah, and I mean, it's crazy. At this point, it's not that crazy. The encounter doesn't seem as crazy because, yeah, we know as an audience that he was gonna be there and he was gonna pop out at that moment because the trailer showed it. And he comes out. He thinks this Spider-Man dressed person is the same Peter Parker that he knows. He gets into a fight and he realizes that he's not him. And then right after, Green Goblin, Willem Dafoe comes out and starts exploding shit. And then we get this scene of Doctor Strange portal them into the Santos Santorum. Mm-hmm. And he's like, "Yo, bro," it's "You fucked up." I'm like, "What do you mean I fucked up?" It's "You fucked up. That was your spell." And he let some people from another universe to come in.
Yeah.
Which reminds me again a lot of the plot with Into the Spider-Verse, the animated one.
Yeah. Which they're making a sequel to.
When we saw that and we saw different universe Spider-Mans, we loved it. But then to see Sam Raimi, Tobey Maguire, the Amazing Spider-Man, into the same idea, it's fucking crazy.
The Doc Ock from Spider-Man 2 is standing head to toe with Tom Holland. That's wild to see. To even think that we'd ever get here.
And when you say oh, fucking Marvel's just having a cheat sheet of pulling on nostalgia threads, this is the first time they've done that.
To this degree, but it's because when I was comparing it to the Eternals, I was I fucking hated the Eternals movie, but it has value just because it's tied to the rest of the MCU. You know what I mean? So that feels like cheat codes to me. It's I get that it tricks me. I fall for it every time. I'm the biggest victim here, but it's holy fuck! It's.
You see it too much of a cash grab kind of movie.
It's too easy. They could trick me into watching every MCU movie, which they already have, just by calling it an MCU movie.
Yeah.
It doesn't even matter. It does not matter what the final product is. I'm going to watch it regardless.
And then after that, fucking Doctor Strange, he alters one of his web shooters to be a fucking...
It wasn't the web shooter. It wasn't just the web shooter. It was the remote control that Iron Man left for Spider-Man that could control the nanobots that were part of the costume.
Sure.
And Doctor Strange put his magic on that remote control for the nanobots, and now he can transport people to underneath the Sanctum Sanctorum to capture all these villains and send them back to their universe.
Correct. And so far, we have two Sam Raimi villains fucking
Green Goblin
Green
and
Goblin
Doc Ock.
and Doc Ock. Doc Ock is trapped. He trapped him. He was able to trap him in the Sanctum Sanctorum. But now, after he gets this mission of capturing this fucking, which I thought it was really cheesy for the movie to be like, yeah, go ahead and do that, boys. The Scooby-Doo thing.
Yeah. Let's Scooby-Doo this shit.
It was kind of weird. But anyways, really cool because, I mean, Spider-Man needs his team. He needs Ned. He needs MJ, to be there to support him. And that's his support system.
Yeah.
And then now we go into this mission to find the Green Goblin, but instead we find the third Sam Raimi villain, Sandman, and the first Amazing Spider-Man villain, which is Electro.
All right.
Yeah, and...
Because originally they're like, oh, there's a disturbance at a military base. Like, go get it. And it ends up being Electro. He's just attracted to the energy or whatever.
Yeah, and then Sandman saves or protects Tom Holland's Spider-Man from an attack from Electro. And he's like, Peter, it's like, what's going on? He's asking because we know from the third Sam Raimi movie that they left off in good terms.
Right.
And he's like, oh, I don't know. We need to take that guy down.
You know what? I forgot that though. Like while watching it, I was like, holy fuck, like Sandman really did leave off on good terms with Spider-Man at the end of that movie. I forgot all about that.
And we get this conversation with naked Jamie Foxx on the fucking frame and Sandman, and that was funny. I thought that was pretty funny because Sandman is like the super cold, like, comedic relief of the movie.
Yeah,
but it fits him. It's nice. And, yeah, so we now catch Electro. And when Tom Holland Spider-Man catches Electro, Sandman's like, you're not fucking Peter. Because he unmasks himself. He's like, who the fuck are you? I don't know you. He's like, trust me. He's like, I don't fucking know you. And then he transports him back to the Sanctum Sanctorum. Right. Now, we have 5 of them. We have the Lizard. No, we have 4. We have the Lizard, we have Doc Ock, we have Electro, and we have Sandman in the Sanctum Sanctorum.
Right. And we also have Ned and Zendaya down there, too, because Peter told Doctor Strange, like, hey, I need my cast, I need my support system. And it's, like, that's all we knew from the trailers, right? We're 30 minutes into the movie, of this 2.5-hour movie, and, like, the trailer has covered 30 minutes. So, and I recognized that while watching it, I was like, holy shit, like, what the fuck is next? Like, the rest of the movie is just blank, which I'm super glad I didn't get spoiled. I tried really hard this time because, like, I remember got spoiled for Endgame because one of these fucking nerds that, like, plays Yu-Gi-Oh! Just, like, in the group chat, posted the screenshot of Tony Stark snapping with the gauntlet on. Just because he thought it was funny, you know what I mean? Just to be a fucking troll because he's a fucking loser, you know what I mean? So I made sure I blocked all these fucking annoying nerds. In our group chat for the El Paso Yugi community, I removed people that were joking about, like, spoiling. I just completely removed them from the chat, and I deleted Twitter for like 3 days because I was like, I'm not being spoiled on this, because I was even spoiled for the season finale of season 2 of The Mandalorian. Oh, I knew that Luke was going to come out because I was fucking spoiled for it. And I was pissed.
Yeah. And, like, we all knew Han Solo was going to die, but then a lot of people were like, Han Solo dies.
Yeah.
You know?
Just to be annoying.
Yeah, just to be annoying. But, I mean, here at this point of the movie, the Green Goblin, his other personality is Osborn.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah, Norman Osborn.
And he is scared. He is living he wants to live his persona as Green Goblin behind, and he goes to seek help at the Spider-Man Center feast or whatever it's called for the homeless. #.
Where Aunt May works.
Yeah, where Aunt May works. And yeah. I like how they tied it into the video game too, because Miles Morales in the Spider-Man game, Miles Morales is part of the feast organization for the homeless.
Oh, is he? I didn't know that. They bring up Miles Morales briefly at one point during the movie too. They were like, "Are there different Spider-Mans?" Like, and I think they brought up somebody that, like, sounded like Miles Morales.
Really?
I think so. I can't.
Well, Electro mentioned at the end of the movie, he's like, "Oh, you're a white kid. I thought you were gonna be black."
Yeah. It was something like that. And the part as an audience member that right away I was like, "That's not gonna work out." It didn't make sense narrative to me narratively to me at first, but they do talk it away, is that Doctor Strange is like, okay, cool, we'll just send them back to the universe. And Tom Holland, Peter Parker is like, well, most of these guys are dead already. Like, we're just going to send them out to die. And it's the morality discussion that that's like a really big part of Spider-Man's character, is that like he's just a great human being. You know what I mean? So it's his Aunt May that finds the Osborn guy.
Mm-hmm.
And Norman Osborn. He walks into the homeless shelter and he's talking to Aunt May, and he clearly needs help. And Peter's like, well, I can't just send him to die. Like, he needs help. And we get a funny sequence where Peter takes them all to Happy's apartment, and they find like the machine from Spider-Man 2, where Tony Stark had basically made a machine that can make anything, if you have like the specs for it. So his whole idea is, we're going to use this machine to do science and just like cure all these guys' problems.
So they focus on Dr. Ock first. Mm-hmm. So we know from the background of like the Sam Raimi Spider-Man 2 that the ship went rogue, and that's why the arms go rogue. Right. And he doesn't have control from his Neuralink. Shout out to Elon Musk.
The chip got like dissolved or whatever by the little sun machine.
Burned out or some shit.
Mm-hmm. So that's why he wasn't able to control the arms anymore. So then, probably my favorite like directed scene is Spider-Man's trying to make like more devices to cure other people, but his spider senses just start tingling. So as an audience, we're experiencing the spider sense with him. And
for like a whole minute,
like the perspective changes, like everything starts like seeming hella tunnel vision,
hyper focused,
and he's just walking around the apartment looking at all the villains, like, which of you is like a threat to me right now, and why do I feel it like that? And he was able to point out that it was Green Goblin, because Norman Osborn and Green Goblin had switched without anyone noticing, and he was about to like fuck up the experiments and everything. So then,
in this quick like reflexes moment, he fucking like webs Green Goblin's fucking arm, and like Willem Dafoe here, man, like he's just like takes it, like he knocks it out of the park with fucking Green Goblin, you know. Mm-hmm. And then if there was any discussion of like maybe Willem Dafoe being able to portray the Joker, we definitely saw evidence of this here.
Yeah. Because it's crazy how quickly he switches character. Like, it's such good acting, like just switching from like polar dramatic like opposite characters like from 1 second to the next. It's so good.
I think his facial expressions and stuff, you know, it's fucking ridiculous. And now we have Electro that was about to get cured with this like energy draining like apparatus. He's listening to the speech that Goblin is making, and he's like, "Fuck that! I'm gonna take the reactor, because the arc reactor from Iron Man 2 is being used for the machine they're using to make the artifacts." Mm-hmm. So he steals that, and everybody starts going rogue except for Dr. Ock, because they did. Peter was able to engineer a controlling a bypassing chip for his arms.
Mm-hmm. So then we get this absolutely amazing hand-to-hand combat scene between Green Goblin and Tom Holland Spider-Man. It's so crazy good. Because, like, I think that's something I missed from the Spider-Mans. Because, like, the Sam Raimi Spider-Mans had a lot of hand-to-hand combat. Like, Spider-Man 1, Spider-Man 2 had a lot of hand-to-hand combat. Especially Spider-Man 1, you know what I mean? And, like, I feel like we've gotten away from that so much, especially in the MCU. Like, no one fights hand-to-hand. But Spider-Man was always meant to, kind of. Because, like, his super strength is part of that, and it's the hand-to-hand combat and the pulling of the punches. So, they literally start suplexing each other through floors of an apartment building. Like, Tom Holland, Spider-Man, grabs Green Goblin, throws him over his shoulders, and slams him straight through the floor down. And then, like, you think Spider-Man's winning, but then 10 minutes later, Green Goblin gets the upper hand.
Doubles down.
Yeah, and, like, slams him through, like, 3 floors. And you're just like, what the fuck am I watching?
And the part where fucking like Spider-Man like mounts Goblin and hit him in the face, and Willem Dafoe's just like
laughing about it,
fucking going crazy, dude. You're like fuck, dude. And as a fan, as someone that didn't want an origin story for Spider-Man, I don't want to see Uncle Ben died. At this moment, I'm still like, where the fuck is Uncle Ben? Where the fuck is Uncle Ben? And god damn it, dude. Aunt May escapes the apartment as this whole fighting is going down. She gets to the first floor, and fucking Green Goblin goes into this villain fucking speech of like, she's the fucking weakness. She's the motherfucker that's keeping you down from being your rogue self that I want you to be. Almost like a la Batman, Joker style. Yeah. Because Joker is always killing, you know, like the boy wonder. He's always like, no, this family that you think you have is like, it's only making you weaker.
Right.
And we get this like blast in the lobby of this like condo building, and Goblin is like, "You one day you're gonna thank me." And a la Spider-Man, a la Sam Raimi Spider-Man, the first one, like he uses a glider to attack Aunt May.
Right, because the ending to the fight in Spider-Man 1 from the Sam Raimi universe was Peter dodges the glider that has like blades on it, like these giant fucking blades at the front. And he flips over it, and then it severs like Green Goblin, and that's how he dies, right? Mm-hmm. And here it's the opposite. It's like Green Goblin makes the glider come, and it slashes at Aunt May. And at first I thought she was gonna be all right, because like directing wise, this was a great fake, because it doesn't even feel like a fake in the moment. Because it's like, she just gets up right away and she's like, oh, I'm alright. That was crazy. I'm really hurt, but like, I don't think I'm dead or anything.
Almost delusional.
Like, she's just up on her adrenaline and stuff. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? It felt so good because, and then like 30 seconds later,
she says the words. She's like, nah, dude. It's like, with great power, there also must be great responsibility.
Well, because Peter was like, honestly, we shouldn't have done this. This is all my fault. We should have just sent them back. You wouldn't have gotten hurt. And she's like, no, we had to help them, because with great power comes great responsibility. And that's when I started crying.
Because now at this point, we know that she is his Uncle Ben.
Right.
Oh, bro. God damn it.
Because right then, like, I started choking up. I was like, oh my God. Like, I couldn't deal with it. Like, it hurt. Like, and then he doesn't want to believe it at first. But then there's also, like, a camera crew outside, like J. Jonah Jameson's outside, and he's trying to, like, get the scoop on Spider-Man and trying to prove that he's such a bad guy.
And the asshole throughout the whole movie. And it's funny. Person. It's funny because he's like a parody to the Alex Jones show.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So we cut to MJ and Ned, right? They're waiting for Spider-Man to come back, but like they're watching the news and they're like, there was a death at Happy's apartment building. Spider-Man's missing. And they're like, oh fuck, oh fuck, oh fuck. Something that we didn't even discuss is that there's this, like, the scene from the trailers with Doctor Strange kind of air quotes fighting Spider-Man in the mirror dimension happens. And the reason why they're doing that is the magic box that's going to reset the spell. Spider-Man doesn't want it to be reset because he needs to help these guys, right? So he's able to use math in the mirror dimension to figure out the pattern of certain structures.
Geometry
and how things are spinning around. He's able to, like, plan his webbing in a way that he captures Doctor Strange there for 12 hours.
OP
right?
move.
It's great. It's super smart because, like, again, if we're talking about the problem with Doctor Strange in this movie is his ego, like, he swears he's so fucking genius and smart. He underestimates Peter Parker at every turn.
Correct. And he traps him there. He gets out and he tells Ned and MJ, to help him out to try to give these villains a second chance.
Well, the reason I was bringing that up...
never mind.
The reason I was bringing that up...
He's still sat on the roof, right?
Yeah, he's still sat on the roof, but the reason I'm bringing up that scene is because Peter Parker took Doctor Strange's ring, the portal ring, that he uses to make portals. So Ned's playing with it at one point, and he's like, oh, I bet I could do this. And he earlier in the movie, he passively says, like, oh, well, my grandma always said our family was magic or something. And Ned is able to make a portal. He's like, show me Peter Parker. Mm-hmm. And then we see a Spider-Man.
Yeah, I believe the dialogue was like, I hope I hope I could see Peter, and he like talks with his hands, so he makes like a circular motion, and like shit starts sparking like in the middle. So now MJ's like, okay, fucking do that again, and now we open a portal to what the audience knows is the Amazing Spider-Man Andrew Garfield.
Right. So like Spider-Man busts out and they're like, wait, you're not our Spider-Man, and he takes off the mask. It's fucking Andrew Garfield. My theater started clapping at that moment. Just seeing Andrew Garfield. I was like,
my theater too.
Y'all are hilarious. So and like it's clear that like Andrew Garfield is putting a lot of energy into his performance.
You get the short end of the stick with what happened with Amazing Spider-Man, you know.
And so Ned tries it again. He's like, show me Peter Parker. And then there's just some random guy in like a bomber jacket and a white t-shirt. And then out comes fucking Tobey Maguire.
In an old Tobey Maguire costume.
Tobey Maguire looks like shit. Like, he looks so fucking old.
I mean, and I'm glad they didn't decide to like CGI
him young or anything.
The age him shit.
Yeah.
I'm glad they kept with the writing structure of like, yeah, he's been Spider-Man for a while now.
Yeah. So they're both like, so these two Spider-Mans who are not our Spider-Man meet, and we're like, wow, we still gotta get to our Spider-Man. We gotta figure out where he is. What place would he be to like clear his head? Tobey Maguire's like, well, for me it was the top of the Chrysler Building. Andrew Garfield's like, well, for me it was the top of the Empire State. And MJ's like, oh, I know where that is. It's the top of the high school where they would like just defog their head or whatever. And so they find him up there and he just starts bawling. You know what I mean? Like,
I mean, he's already
he just watched his aunt die, and he's so upset. Like, you feel for the guy. And we spiral into quickly the third act here, because from here on out, it's just like the three Spider-Mans using their knowledge to try to make cures for their respective villains. And then they're going to go invite the villains out to the Statue of Liberty.
And to your point that you really love Andrew Garfield, or that you know that he put in the work for this character, I love that that there, the direction choice to when they meet Tom Holland, Peter Parker on top of the high school roof. Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield Spider-Mans are trying to communicate with him that they know what he's feeling right now. It's like, dude, it's like Andrew Garfield at this point, he's like, I lost my girlfriend and I couldn't save her, and it made me bitter. And it is assumed that Andrew Garfield Spider-Man went rogue and killed people.
Right.
And I feel like that's really good to give him justice for what he did in The Amazing Spider-Man.
Between Aunt May dying and this, like, introduction of all the Spider-Mans together, it's probably only, like, 10-15 minutes. And I feel like I was choking up, like, tears that whole time. And then, like, on the rooftop, like the scene you're describing, is Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield being like, yeah. Because Peter still feels guilty. He feels like it was his fault. Like, Aunt May shouldn't have been there if it wasn't for him. And he's just, like, crying to everybody. He's just like... And then she said the most randomest thing right before she died. She said, with great power, Tobey Maguire finishes his sentence, comes great responsibility. He's like, dude, that's what Uncle Ben said when he passed. And Andrew Garfield's saying, he's like, yeah, that's what Uncle Ben said. It's the same in every universe. Like, we have this great power and we have this great responsibility. And that's why, again, I'm like, in my head, I'm like, wow, this is so, like, cheat codes. Like, it's so mean. Like, it worked. It's so great in the moment. But, like, the more I think about it, it's like, dude, you're really picking apart some wounds I had like 20 years ago from watching Spider-Man 1 and just like
holding on to the last nostalgia thread.
Right. And just making me feel like like right there, that's where Karen started making fun of me, because like I like when little kids like can't breathe. When little kids can't breathe because they're crying, that's what it was like. I'm like trying to catch my breath. I'm like, Uncle Ben died. Like, I thought I made it through this.
And it's fucking touching, man. And yeah, at this point, we go into this little montage of like, we're gonna make cures for these people. And we have like a whole section of them being in the lab and being nerdy together.
Just in a random lab.
Which was
like,
great.
Not a really well-equipped lab.
Yeah, at the school's lab.
Yeah, at the high school lab.
And they're able to make webbing. They're able to make a a cure for the lizard guy, Dr. Connors. They're able to make a anti-serum for the Goblin, and they make a power searching thing for Electro.
They make like a whole strobe device for Sandman. I don't even know what the fuck
reactor.
Yeah, I don't know what the fuck that
collider or some shit.
So
go ahead.
But yeah, and then they fight at the
statue,
the Statue of Liberty. I almost said the Eiffel Tower. And like it is what like the trailers were leading you to believe, except where all the scenes where it was just Spider-Man, there were totally 2 other Spider-Men with him,
and it's great.
It's excellent.
It's awesome because at this point, I mean, once we get rid of once we cure, because Dr. Ock was cured already, so he jumps in one of the fights and helps curing Electro because he's fucking OP, he's a motherfucker. So he comes in.
So Sandman.
Yeah, Sandman too.
I was thinking about that a lot because, like,
throw some water on him.
The beginning the first fight with Electro, where Sandman was able to contain Electro, I'm like, that's broken. That's so broken. Like, he's a whole fucking sandstorm. That's so fucking broken.
I mean, sand glass. It is it doesn't conduct electricity, so.
Well, yeah, glass is made from sand quartz.
Yeah, that's what. So I don't know, but. We get Goblin back in the mix, and he is trying to stop Spider-Man from dispelling the spell.
Right.
And, I mean, again, Willem Dafoe comes in heavy here, and Tom Holland, Spider-Man, at their last fight, he's about to kill him.
Right.
You know, and Tobey Maguire, Spider-Man, comes in and stops him.
Yeah, because you really think it's going to happen because, like, they're having, like, a talk before the fight even starts, and they're talking about that, and Andrew Garfield's talking about, I wasn't pulling my punches anymore, I wasn't doing this, I wasn't doing that, and they talk about in Spider-Man 1 how Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man, like, killed the guy he thought killed Uncle Ben, and it didn't help him at all. Like, it didn't help him get through the pain. And they're trying to tell Tom Holland that, but it doesn't click. And so when he gets face to face with Green Goblin, he just starts beating the living shit out of the guy because it's like, dude, you killed Aunt May like 4 hours ago. Like, I have to kill you in cold blood now.
It's crazy, man. And he obviously Tobey Maguire like is able to show him the way. You know,
this is the way.
That's the way, bro. And at this point, the Green Goblin had put a pumpkin grenade inside the cube mechanism of the spell and blew it up. And now the spell it's free. And now we get Ned opens a portal and fucking Doctor Strange comes out and he's trying to stop him. He's stopping this like whole like rupture of the universe.
Right.
And this is where Tom Holland goes up to him and is like, I can't stop it. It's like, yeah, isn't there a way to stop if we erase everybody's memory?
Yeah. Because let's just forget in every universe that Peter Parker is Spider-Man.
Yeah. And then here we get the spell working and we have like this very touching moment with Ned and MJ is like, hey guys, you guys are about to forget about me. You know, and it's touching, but at the end of the day, when we have this whole like wipe of everybody brainwashing the entire universe into believing that Peter Parker doesn't exist. In that timeline, Spider-Man does exist, so the Avengers don't know that it is Peter Parker. Tony Stark wouldn't have known who Spider-Man was,
right?
But Spider-Man will be involved. And shout out to Rockstars. I watched a little breakdown, and they mentioned like, as crazy as it may seem that these people forgot about who Peter Parker was, especially MJ and Ned, like he was his friend. It's like, how could they just forget like that? How come like their lives didn't change? And Rockstars made a very good point that even though like in the regular timeline, Tom Holland's Peter Parker wasn't really involved in a lot of the occasions because of the Spider-Man thing.
Right. He
wasn't involved in like competitions for the school. He wasn't involved in like field trips. He wasn't there for like really meaningful moments. So his disappearance from people's memory is not even that big of a deal.
Yeah.
And that was a great point by Rockstars.
Yeah. The person, probably the only person in this sequence that like would have remembered him would have been like Aunt May. Mm-hmm. And she's dead. So.
And she died, yeah. And then now we have Peter Parker growing into his own as a castaway as a student, as a college student.
Yeah. He moves into a shitty apartment by himself. He tries to reintroduce himself to Ned and MJ, but he's like too scared and like sees how good like their lives are without him. He just kind of just doesn't even try. And it's really sad because like I love happy endings. I hate sad endings so much, but it's like Peter Parker doesn't get a happy ending at the end of this. He really doesn't. And
that was Spider-Man, man.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
Spider-Man.
But I don't have anything else to say about anything else.
What was the mid-trailer scene?
The Venom.
Oh, yeah.
Tom Hardy.
So we were getting like a lot of everyone was really excited because they were like, "Ooh, Venom's probably going to be in it. Venom's probably going to be in it." But the mid-credit scene is just Tom Hardy as Venom or as Brock?
Yeah.
As Brock is transported to this universe and he's just hanging out at the bar the whole time, just asking questions. But when the universe is fixed, he just transports back. So,
but a small amount of the symbiote
is left on the bar top.
Yeah.
So now, like, Venom is in Tom Holland's universe,
which is in the MCU. So, I mean, if you're saying we're gonna get 3 more movies, that's gonna be fucking crazy.
Yeah, absolutely. And that was episode 74?
74
of Between Nerds podcast. My name is Drew Philip Elias. This is Aldo Mendez. This has been Between
Nerds.